Hey Lexi, are you ready?
Definitely.
Let's go! Hello and welcome to LexiCon. It's Maddie.
Lexi.
Dylan.
And it's finally time. 45 years ago, on May 25th, 1977, the greatest movie of all time, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, made its debut in theaters, forever changing the landscape of movies, pop culture, and fandom. Today, we're paying tribute to it the best way we know how, by making fun of it. Actually, the only ones to be made to look foolish will likely be us, as we intend to perform the entirety of the original script as characters from the Super Mario Bros. Universe. Now, a couple of quick notes. We're performing the original script, so while we've made efforts to make sure everything matches up, aside from our own character-based modifications, there may be slight differences from what ended up on the screen. Also, we're paying tribute to the movie that appeared in theaters in 1977, so we've omitted the few deleted scenes that appear in the script, as well as the revised scenes from the special editions. Also, we're doing this live to tape, as they say. If we have a major mistake or interruption, we'll reset and cut that part out, but we're doing this in one straight session, so it may be a tad haphazard. With that being said, in the tradition of It's a Clerks 2, Mario Rats, and Mario Hamilton, we now present Mario Wars. A long time ago, in a mushroom kingdom not so far away. It is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships, striking from a hidden base, have won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire. During the battle, Rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star, an armored space station with enough power to destroy an entire planet. Pursued by the Empire's sinister agents, Princess Peach races home aboard her starship, custodian of the stolen plans that can save her people and restore freedom to the galaxy. The awesome yellow planet of Tatooine emerges from a total eclipse, her 2 moons glowing against the darkness. A tiny silver spacecraft, a rebel blockade runner firing lasers from the back of the ship, races through space. It is pursued by a giant Imperial starship. Hundreds of deadly laser bolts streak from the Imperial Star Destroyer, causing the main solar fin of the rebel craft to disintegrate. Interior, rebel blockade runner, main passageway. An explosion rocks the ship as 2 robots, Shy-2D2 and D-3PO, struggle to make their way through the shaking, bouncing passageway. Both robots are old and battered. Shy-2 is a short, red-clad fellow. His face is a white disc with black circles for his eyes and mouth. 3PO, on the other hand, is a tall, slender humanoid female. She has a gleaming bronze dress-like exterior. Another blast shakes them as they are on their way.
Did you hear that? They've shut down the main reactor. It'll be destroyed for sure. This is madness.
Rebel troopers rush past the robots and take up positions in the main passageway. They aim their weapons toward the door.
We're doomed.
Wah, 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 wah.
There'll be no escape for the princess this time.
Wah, 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 wah. Tension mounts as loud metallic latches clang and the screams of heavy equipment are heard moving around the outside hull of the ship.
What's that?
Exterior, spacecraft in space. The Imperial craft has easily overtaken the Rebel blockade runner. The smaller Rebel ship is being drawn into the underside dock of the giant Imperial starship. Interior, Rebel blockade runner. The nervous Rebel troopers aim their weapons. Suddenly, a tremendous blast opens up a hole in the main passageway, and a score of fearsome, armored, space-suited Koopa troopers make their way into the smoke-filled corridor. In a few minutes, the entire passageway is ablaze with laser fire. The deadly bolts ricochet in wild, random patterns, creating huge explosions. Koopa troopers scatter and duck behind storage lockers. Laser bolts hit several Rebel soldiers who scream and stagger through the smoke, holding shattered arms and faces. An explosion hits near the robots.
I should have known better than to trust the logic of a half-sized...
Wah, wah. The awesome Dark Lord of the Sith makes his way into the blinding light of the main passageway. This is Darth Vader, right hand of the Emperor. His face is obscured by his flowing black robes and grotesque breath mask, which stands out next to the Koopa troopers. Everyone instinctively backs away from the imposing warrior, and a deathly quiet sweeps through the Rebel troops. Several of the Rebel troops break and run in a frenzied panic. Interior, Rebel blockade runner. A woman's hand puts a card into an opening in Shy-2's dome. Wah, wah. Meanwhile, 3PO stands in a hallway, somewhat bewildered. Shy-2 is nowhere in sight. The pitiful screams of the doomed Rebel soldiers can be heard in the distance.
Shy-2D2, where are you?
A familiar clanking sound attracts 3PO's attention, and she spots little Shy-2 at the end of the hallway in a smoke-filled alcove. A young woman stands in front of Shy-2. Surreal and out of place, dreamlike and half-hidden in the smoke, she finishes adjusting something on Shy-2, then watches as the little robot joins his companion.
At last, where have you been?
Koopa troopers can be heard battling in the distance.
They're heading in this direction. What are we going to do? We'll be sent to the space mines of Kessel or smashed into who knows what.
Shy-2 scoots past his bronze friend and races down the sub-hallway. 3PO chases after him.
Wait a minute, where are you going?
Wah, wah. Interior, Rebel blockade runner, corridor. The evil Darth Vader stands amid the broken and twisted bodies of his foes. He grabs a wounded Rebel soldier by the neck as an Imperial Lockatoo rushes up to the Dark Lord.
The Death Star plans are not in the main computer.
Vader squeezes the neck of the Rebel soldier, who struggles in vain.
Wah! Wah! Where are those transmissions you intercepted?
Waiter lifts the rebel off his feet by his throat.
What have you done with those plans? We intercepted no transmission! This is consular ship! We're on a diplomatic mission! Wah! If this is a consular ship, where is the ambassador?
The rebel refuses to speak, but eventually cries out as the Dark Lord begins to squeeze his throat, creating a gruesome snapping and choking until the soldier goes limp. Waiter tosses the dead soldier against the wall and turns to his troops.
Wah! Commander, tear the ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the ambassador. I want her alive.
The Koopa troopers scurry into the sub-hallways. Interior, rebel blockade runner, sub-hallway. The young woman huddles in a small alcove as the Koopa troopers search through the ship. She is Princess Peach, a member of the Alderaan Senate. The fear in her eyes slowly gives way to anger as the muted crushing sounds of the approaching Koopas grow louder. One of the Koopas spots her.
There she is! Set for stun!
Peach steps from her hiding place and blasts the Koopa with her laser pistol. She starts to run but is felled by a paralyzing ray. The Koopas inspect her inert body.
She'll be alright. Inform Lord Vader we have a prisoner.
Interior, rebel blockade runner, sub-hallway. Shai-Tu stops before the small hatch of an emergency life pod. He snaps the seal on the main latch and a red warning light begins to flash. The stubby Astro robot works his way into the cramped four-man pod.
Hey, you're not permitted in there. It's restricted. You'll be deactivated for sure.
Wah, wah.
Don't call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight glob of grease. Now come out before somebody sees you.
Wah, wah, wah.
Secret mission? What plans? What are you talking about? I'm not getting in there.
Wah, 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 wah.
A new explosion, this time very close, sends dust and debris through the narrow sub-hallway. Flames lick at 3PO.
Wah, 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 wah.
3PO jumps into the life pod.
I'm going to regret this.
Exterior, rebel blockade runner. The safety door snaps shut, and with the thunder of exploding latches, the tiny life pod ejects from the disabled ship. Interior, Imperial Star Destroyer. On the main view screen, the life pod carrying the two terrified robots speeds away from the stricken rebel spacecraft.
There goes another one. Hold your fire. There are no life forms. It must have been short-circuited.
Interior, life pod. Shai-Tu and 3PO look out at the receding Imperial starship. Stars circle as the pod rotates through the galaxy.
That's funny. The damage doesn't look as bad from out here.
Wah.
Are you sure this thing is safe?
Interior, rebel blockade runner, hallway. Princess Peach is led down a low-ceilinged hallway by a squad of armored Koopa troopers. Her hands are bound and she is brutally shoved when she is unable to keep up with the briskly marching Koopas. They stop in a smoky hallway as Darth Vader emerges from the shadows. The sinister Dark Lord stares hard at the frail young senator, but she doesn't move.
Lord Vader, I should have known. Only you could be so bold. The Imperial Senate will not sit still for this. When they hear you've attacked a diplomatic...
Wah! Don't play games with me, Your Highness. You weren't on any mercy mission this time. You passed directly through a restricted system. Wah! Several transmissions were beamed to this ship by rebel spies. I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You're a part of the Rebel Alliance. Wah! And a traitor. Take her away.
Peach is marched away down the hallway and into the smoldering hole blasted in the side of the ship. An Imperial commander turns to Waiter.
Holding her is dangerous. If word of this gets out, it could generate sympathy for the rebellion in the Senate. I have traced the rebel spies to her. Wah! Now she is my only link to finding their secret base. She'll die before she'll tell you anything. Wah! Leave that to me. Send a distress signal to then inform the Senate that all aboard were killed.
Another Imperial Lakitu approaches Waiter and the commander. They stop and snap to attention.
Lord Vader, the battle station plans are not aboard this ship, and no transmissions were made. An escape pod was jettisoned during the fighting, but no life forms were aboard.
Waiter turns to the commander.
She must have hidden the plans in the escape pod. Wah! Send the detachment down to retrieve them. See to it personally. There'll be no one to stop us this time. Yes, sir.
Exterior, space. The Imperial Star Destroyer comes over the surface of the planet Tatooine. Exterior, Tatooine, desert. Junland, or No Man's Land, where the rugged desert mesas meet the foreboding dune sea. The two helpless astro robots kick up clouds of sand as they leave the life pod and clumsily work their way across the desert wasteland. The life pod in the distance rests half buried in the sand.
How did we get into this mess? I really don't know how. We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
Wah, wah.
I've got to rest before I fall apart. My joints are almost frozen.
Wah.
What a desolate place this is.
Suddenly, Shai-Tu whistles, makes a sharp right turn, and starts off in the direction of the rocky desert mesas. 3PO stops and yells at him.
Where are you going?
Wah, 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 wah.
Well, I'm not going that way. It's much too rocky.
Wah.
What makes you think there are settlements over there?
Wah, wah, wah.
Don't get technical with me.
Wah, wah.
What mission? What are you talking about? I've had just about enough of you. Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile.
3PO gives the little robot a kick and starts off in the direction of the vast dune sea.
And don't let me catch you following me begging for help, because you won't get it.
Wah, wah, wah. Shai-Tu makes his way toward the distant mountains. Exterior, Tatooine, Dune Sea. 3PO, hot and tired, struggles up over the ridge of a dune, only to find more dunes which seem to go on for endless miles. She looks back in the direction of the now distant rock mesas.
That malfunctioning little troop, this is all his fault. He tricked me into going this way, but he'll do no better.
In a huff of anger and frustration, 3PO knocks the sand from her joints. Her plight seems hopeless when a glint of reflected light in the distance reveals an object moving toward her.
Wait, what's that? A transport! I'm saved!
The bronze droid waves frantically and yells at the approaching transport.
Over here! Help! Please help!
Exterior, Tatooine, Rock Canyon, sunset. The gargantuan rock formations are shrouded in a strange foreboding mist, and the ominous sounds of unearthly creatures fill the air. Shai-Tu moves cautiously through the creepy rock canyon, inadvertently making a loud clicking noise as he goes. He hears a distant, hard, metallic sound and stops for a moment. Convinced he is alone, he continues on his way. In the distance, a pebble tumbles down the steep canyon wall and a small, dark figure darts into the shadows. A little further up the canyon, a slight flicker of light reveals a pair of eyes in the dark recesses only a few feet from the narrow path. The unsuspecting robot waddles along the rugged trail until suddenly, out of nowhere, a powerful magnetic ray shoots out of the rocks and engulfs him in an eerie glow. He manages one short electronic squeak before he topples over onto his back. His bright computer lights flicker off, then on, then off again. Out of the rocks scurry three ninjas, no taller than Shai-Tu. They holster strange and complex weapons as they cautiously approach the robot. They wear black cloaks with red buttons on the fronts, and their faces are shrouded so that only their black eyes can be seen. They hiss and make odd guttural sounds as they heave the heavy robot onto their shoulders and carry him off down the trail. Exterior, Tatooine, Rock Canyon, Sandcrawler, sunset. The 8 ninjas carry Shai-Tu out of the canyon to a huge tank-like vehicle the size of a 4-story house. They weld a small disc on the side of Shai-Tu and then put him under a large tube on the side of the vehicle, and the little robot is sucked into the giant machine. The little ninjas scurry like rats up the small ladders and enter the main cabin of the behemoth transport. Interior, Sandcrawler, hold area. It is dim inside the hold area of the Sandcrawler. Shai-Tu switches on a small floodlight on his forehead and stumbles around the scrap heap. The narrow beam swings across rusty metal rocket parts and an array of the grotesquely twisted and maimed Astro robots. He lets out a pathetic electronic wah-wah and stumbles off toward what appears to be a door at the end of the chamber. Interior, Sandcrawler, prison area. Shai-Tu enters a wide room with a 4-foot ceiling. In the middle of the scrap heap sit a dozen or so robots of various shapes and sizes. Some are engaged in electronic conversations, while others simply mill about. A voice of recognition calls out from the gloom.
Shai-Tu-D2, it's you! It's you!
A battered 3PO scrambles up to Shai-Tu and embraces him. Exterior, Tatooine, Rock Canyon, Sandcrawler, sunset. The enormous Sandcrawler lumbers off toward the magnificent twin suns which are slowly setting over a distant mountain ridge. Exterior, Tatooine, desert, day. 4 Imperial Koopa Troopas mill about in front of the half-buried life pod that brought Shai-Tu and 3PO to Tatooine. A Koopa yells to a Lakitu some distance away.
Someone was on the life pod! The tracks go off in this direction!
A second Koopa picks a small bit of metal out of the sand and gives it to the first Koopa.
Look, sir! Droids!
Exterior, Tatooine, dunes. The Sandcrawler moves slowly down a great sand dune. Interior, Sandcrawler. 3PO and Shai-Tu noisily bounce along inside the cramped prison chamber. Shai-Tu appears to be shut off.
Wake up! Wake up!
Suddenly, the shaking and bouncing of the Sandcrawler stops, creating quite a commotion among the mechanical menagerie. 3PO's fist bangs on the head of Shai-Tu, whose computer lights pop on as he begins beeping. At the far end of the long chamber, a hatch opens, filling the chamber with blinding white light. A dozen or so ninjas make their way through the odd assortment of robots.
We're doomed.
A ninja starts moving toward them.
Do you think they'll melt us down?
Wah, wah, wah.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Will this never end?
Exterior, Tatooine, desert. Lars Homestead, afternoon. The ninjas mutter gibberish as they busily line up their battered captives, including Shai-Tu and 3PO, in front of the enormous Sandcrawler, which is parked beside a small homestead consisting of 3 large holes in the ground surrounded by several tall moisture vaporators and 1 small adobe blockhouse. The ninjas scurry around, fussing over the robots, straightening them up or brushing some dust from a dented metallic elbow. Out of the shadows of a dingy side building limps Egad Lars, a small, nerdy man in his mid-50s. His reddish eyes are covered by large spectacles. As the farmer carefully inspects each of the robots, he is closely followed by his slump-shouldered nephew, Lukiji Skywalker. One of the ninjas walks ahead of the farmer, spouting an animated sales pitch in an unintelligible language. A voice calls out from one of the huge holes that form the homestead. Luigi goes over to the edge and sees his Aunt Birdo standing in the main courtyard. Luigi, tell Igad that if he gets the translator to be sure to speak Chozo.
It looks like we don't have much of a choice, but I'll mind him.
Luigi returns to his uncle as they look over the equipment for sale with the ninja leader.
I have no need for a protocol droid.
Sir, not in an environment such as this. That's why I've also been programmed for over 30 secondary functions that...
What I really need is a droid that understands the binary language of moisture vaporators.
Vaporators, sir, my first job was programming binary load lifters, very similar to your vaporators. You could say...
Do you speak Chozo?
Of course I can, sir. It's like a second language for me. I'm as fluent in Chozo.
Alright, shut up. I'll take this one.
Shutting up, sir.
Luigi, take these two over to the garage, will you? I want you to have both of them cleaned up before dinner.
But I was going to go to the Tachi station to pick up some power converters.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now come on, get to it.
Alright, come on. And the blue one. Come on. Well, come on, the blue. Let's go.
As the ninja starts to lead the 3 remaining robots back into the sandcrawler, Shaitu lets out a pathetic little wah wah and starts after his old friend 3PO. He is restrained by a slimy ninja who zaps him with a control box. Egad is negotiating with the head ninja. Luigi and the 2 robots start for the garage when a plate pops off the head of the blue Astro Droid, throwing parts all over the ground. He adjusts the Astro Droid's head plate and it sparks wildly.
Uncle Egad.
Yeah?
This Shaitu unit has a bad motivator. Look.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
The ninja goes into a loud spiel. Meanwhile, Shaitu is sneaked out of line and is moving up and down, trying to attract attention. He lets out with a low whistle. 3PO taps Luigi on the shoulder.
Excuse me, sir, but that Shaitu unit is in prime condition, a real bargain.
Uncle Egad.
Yeah?
What about that one?
What about that red one? We'll take that one.
With a little reluctance, the ninja trades the damaged Astro robot for Shaitu.
Yeah, take it this way.
I'm quite sure you'll be very pleased with that one, sir. He really is in first-class condition. I've worked with him before. Here he comes.
Egad pays off the whining ninja as Luigi and the 2 robots trudge off toward a grimy homestead entry.
Okay, let's go.
Now, don't forget this. Why I should stick my neck out for you is quite beyond my capacity.
Interior, Lars homestead, garage area, late afternoon. The garage is cluttered and warm, but a friendly, peaceful atmosphere permeates the low gray chamber. 3PO lowers herself into a large tub filled with warm oil. Near the battered land speeder, little Shaitu rests on a large battery with a cord attached to his face.
Thank the maker. The oil bath is going to feel so good. I've got such a bad case of dust contamination. I can barely move.
Luigi seems to be lost in thought as he runs his hand over the damaged fin of a small 2-man Skyhopper spaceship resting in a low hangar off the garage. Finally, Luigi's frustrations get the better of him and he slams a wrench across the workbench.
It isn't fair. Oh, Biggs is right. I'm never gonna get out of here.
Is there anything I might do to help?
Luigi glances at the battered robot. A bit of his anger drains and a tiny smile creeps across his face.
Well, not unless you can alter time, speed up the harvest, or teleport me off at this walk.
I don't think so, sir. I'm only a droid and not very knowledgeable about such things. Not on this planet, anyway. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure which planet I'm on.
Well, if there's a brighter center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's furthest from.
I see, sir.
You can call me Luigi.
I see, sir, Luigi.
Just the Luigi.
And I am D3PO, Human Cyborg Relations, and this is my counterpart, Shai2D2.
Hello.
Luigi unplugs Shaitu and begins to scrape several connectors on the robot's head with the chrome pick. 3PO climbs out of the oil tub and begins wiping oil from her bronze body.
You got a lot of carbons going here. It looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
With all we've been through, sometimes I'm amazed we're in as good condition as we are, with what with the rebellion and all.
Luigi sparks to life at the mention of the rebellion.
You know about the rebellion against the Empire?
That's how we came to be in your service, if you take my meaning, sir.
Have you been in the many battles?
Several, I think. Actually, there's not much to tell. I'm not much more than an interpreter, and not very good at telling stories. Well, not at making them interesting, anyway.
Luigi struggles to remove a small metal fragment from Shaitu's neck joint. He uses a larger pick.
Well, my little friend, you've got something jammed in here real good. We're on a Star Cruiser.
The fragment breaks loose with a snap, sending Luigi tumbling head over heels. He sits up and sees a 12-inch three-dimensional hologram of Peach Toadstool, the rebel senator, being projected from the face of little Shaitu. The image is a rainbow of colors as it flickers and jiggles in the dimly lit garage. Luigi's mouth hangs open in awe.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
What's this?
Shaitu looks around sheepishly.
What is what? He asked you a question. What is that?
Wah, wah, wah.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Oh, he says it's nothing, sir. Merely a malfunction. Old data. Pay it no mind.
Lukiji becomes intrigued by the princess.
Who is she? She's a beautiful.
I'm afraid I'm not quite sure, sir. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think she was a passenger on our last voyage. A person of some importance, sir, I believe. Our captain was attached to.
Is there more to this recording?
Lukiji reaches for Shaitu.
Wah, 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 wah.
Behave yourself, Shaitu. You're going to get us in trouble. It's all right. You can trust him. He's our new master.
Wah, wah.
He says he's the property of Obi-Wan Kenobi, a resident of these parts, and it's a private message for him. Quite frankly, sir, I don't know what he's talking about. Our last master was Captain Antilles, but with what we've been through, this little Shaitu unit has become a bit eccentric.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if he means Old Ben Kenobi.
I beg your pardon, sir, but do you know what he's talking about?
Well, I don't know anyone named Obi-Wan, but Old Ben lives out beyond the Dune Sea. He's kind of a strange old hermit.
Lukiji gazes at the princess for a few moments.
I wonder who she is. It sounds like she's in trouble. I better play back the whole thing.
Wah, wah.
He says the retaining bolt has circuited his recording system. He suggests that if you remove the bolt, he might be able to play back the entire recording.
Lukiji looks longingly at the princess and hasn't really heard what 3PO has been saying.
Yeah, well, I guess if you're too small to run away from me, if I take this off, okay.
Lukiji takes a wedged bar and pops the restraining bolt off Shaitu's side.
There you go.
The princess immediately disappears.
Well, wait a minute. Where does she go? Bring her back and play back the entire message.
Wah, wah, wah.
What message? The one you've just been playing, the one you're carrying around inside your rusty innards.
Lukiji, come to dinner.
Lukiji stands up and shakes his head at the malfunctioning robot.
All right, I'll be right there, Aunt Birdo.
I'm sorry, sir, but he appears to have picked up a slight flutter.
Lukiji tosses Shaitu's restraining bolt on the workbench and hurries out of the room.
Well, see what you can do with him. I'll be right back.
Just you reconsider playing that message for him.
Wah, wah.
No, I don't think he likes you at all.
Wah.
No, I don't like you either.
Interior, Lars Homestead, dining area. Lukiji's Aunt Berto fills a pitcher with blue fluid from a refrigerated container in the well-used kitchen. She puts the pitcher on a tray with some bowls of food and starts for the dining area. Lukiji sits with his uncle Egad before a table covered with steaming bowls of food as Aunt Berto carries in a bowl of red grain.
You know, I think that's a Shaitu unit we bought that might have been stolen.
What made you think that?
Well, I stumbled across a recording while I was cleaning him. He says he belonged to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Egad is greatly alarmed at the mention of this name, but manages to control himself.
I thought that he might have meant Old Ben. Do you know what he's talking about? Well, I wonder if he's related to Ben.
That old man's just a crazy wizard. Tomorrow I want you to take that Shaitu unit into Angerhead and have its memory flushed. That'll be the end of it. It belongs to us now.
But what if this is Obi-Wan comes looking for him?
He won't. I don't think he exists anymore. He died about the same time as your father.
He knew my father.
I told you to forget it. Your only concern is to prepare the new joints for tomorrow. In the morning, I want them on the South Ridge working on those condensers.
Yes, sir. I think those new droids are going to work out fine. In fact, I was also thinking about the agreement about my staying on another season. And if these new droids work out, I want to transmit my application to the academy this year.
You mean next semester before the harvest?
Sure, there's more than enough droids.
Harvest is when I need you the most. Only one more season. This year we'll make enough on the harvest and I'll be able to hire some more hands. And then you can go to the academy next year.
Lukiji continues to toy with his food, not looking at his uncle.
You must understand I need you here, Lukiji.
But it's a whole nother year.
Look, it's only one more season.
Lukiji pushes his half-eaten plate of food aside and stands.
Yeah, that's what you said last year when Biggs and Tanker left. Where are you going? It looks like I'm going nowhere. I have to finish cleaning those droids.
Resigned to his fate, Lukiji paddles out of the room. Egad mechanically finishes his dinner.
Egad, he can't stay here forever. Most of his friends have gone. It means so much to him.
I'll make it up to him next year, I promise.
Lukiji's just not much of a farmer, Egad. He has too much of his father in him.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Exterior, Tatooine, Lars Homestead. The giant twin suns of Tatooine slowly disappear behind a distant dune range. Lukiji stands watching them for a few moments, then reluctantly enters the domed entrance to the homestead. Interior, Lars Homestead, garage. Luigi enters the garage to discover the robot's nowhere in sight. He takes a small control box from his utility belt, similar to the one the ninjas were carrying. He activates the box, which creates a low hum, and 3PO, letting out a short yell, pops up from behind the Skyhopper spaceship.
Oh, what are you doing hiding there?
3PO stumbles forward, but Shai-Tu is still nowhere in sight.
It wasn't my fault, sir. Please don't deactivate me. I told him not to go, but he's faulty, malfunctioning. Kept babbling on about his mission.
Oh, no.
Luigi races out of the garage, followed by 3PO. Exterior, Tatooine, Lars Homestead. Luigi rushes out of the small domed entry to the homestead and searches the darkening horizon for the small red Astro robot. 3PO struggles out of the homestead and on the salt flat as Luigi scans the landscape with his electro binoculars.
That Shai-Tu unit has always been a problem. These astro droids are getting quite out of hand. Even I can't understand the logic at times.
How could I be so stupid? He's no in the sight. Blast it.
Pardon me, sir, but we couldn't go after him?
It's too dangerous. With all the Pokies around, we'll have to wait until morning.
Luigi, I'm shutting the power down for the night.
All right, I'll be there in a few minutes. Boy, am I going to get it.
He takes one final look across the dim horizon.
You know, that little droid is going to cause me a lot of trouble.
He excels at that, sir.
Interior, Lars Homestead, Plaza. Morning slowly creeps into the sparse but sparkling oasis of the open courtyard. The idyll is broken by the yelling of Uncle Egad, his voice echoing throughout the homestead.
Luigi! 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 Where could he be loafing now?
Interior, Lars Homestead, kitchen. The interior of the kitchen is a warm glow as Aunt Berto prepares the morning breakfast. Egad enters in a huff.
Have you seen Luigi this morning?
He said he had some things to do before he started today, so he left early.
Did he take those 2 droids with him?
I think so.
Well, he'd better have those units in the South Range repaired by midday, or there'll be hell to pay.
Exterior, Tatooine, desert wasteland, Luigi speeder, day. The rock and sand of the desert floor are a blur as 3PO pilots the sleek land speeder gracefully across the vast wasteland. Luigi leans over the back of the speeder and adjusts something in the motor compartment.
How's that?
3PO signals that it is fine and Luigi turns back into the wind-whipped cockpit and pops the canopy shut.
Oh, the Ben Kenobi lives out in this direction somewhere, but I don't see how that Shai-Tu unit could have come this far. We must have missed him. Uncle Egad isn't going to take this very well.
So, would it help if you told him it was my fault?
Sure, he needs you. He'd probably only deactivate you for a day or so.
Deactivate? Well, on the other hand, if you hadn't removed his restraining bolt...
Wait, there's something dead ahead on the scanner. It looks like a droid hit the accelerator.
Exterior, Tatooine, Rock Mesa, Dune Sea, coastline, day. From high on a rock mesa, the tiny land speeder can be seen gliding across the desert floor. Suddenly in the foreground, 2 weather-beaten Pokies peer over the edge of the rock mesa. One of the cactus-like creatures raises a long, ominous laser rifle and points it at the speeder, but the second creature grabs the gun before it can be fired. The Poke people, or Tusken Raiders as they're sometimes called, speak in a coarse, barbaric language as they get into an animated argument. The second Tusken Raider seems to get in the final word, and the nomads scurry over the rocky terrain. The Tusken Raiders approach 2 large banthas standing tied to a rock. The monstrous bear-like creatures as large as elephants, with huge red eyes, tremendous looped horns, and long, furry dinosaur-like tails. The Tusken Raiders mount saddles strapped to the huge creatures' shaggy backs and ride off down the rugged bluff. Exterior, Tatooine, rock canyon, floor. The speeder is parked on the floor of a massive canyon. Luigi, with his long laser rifle slung over his shoulder, stands before little Shai-Tu.
Hey, whoa, just where do you think you're going?
The little droid wah-wahs as 3PO poses menacingly behind the little runaway.
Master Luigi here is your rightful owner. We'll have no more of this Obi-Wan Kenobi gibberish, and don't talk to me of your mission either. You're fortunate he doesn't blast you into a million pieces right here.
Well, come on, it's getting late. I only hope we can get back before Uncle Egad really blows up.
If you don't mind me saying so, sir, I think you should deactivate the little fugitive until you've gotten him back to your workshop.
No, he's not going to try anything.
Suddenly the little robot jumps to life.
Wah 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 wah!
What's wrong with him now?
Oh my, so he says there are several creatures approaching from the southeast.
Luigi swings his rifle into position and looks to the south.
Pokey people, oh Wosa, come on, let's go have a look. Come on.
Exterior, Tatooine, rock canyon, ridge, day. Luigi carefully makes his way to the top of a rock ridge and scans the canyon with his electro binoculars. He spots the 2 riderless banthas. 3PO struggles up behind the young adventurer.
There are 2 banthas down there, but I don't see any. Wait a second. The Pokey people, alright. I can see one of them now.
Luigi watches the distant Tusken Raider through his electro-binoculars. Suddenly, something huge moves in front of his field of view. Before Luigi or 3PO can react, a large Tusken Raider looms over them. 3PO is startled and backs away, right off the side of the cliff. She can be heard for several moments as she clangs, bangs, and rattles down the aisle of the mountain. The towering creature brings down his curved, double-pointed Gatterfee, the dreaded axe blade that has struck terror in the heart of the local settlers. But Luigi manages to block the blow with his laser rifle, which is smashed to pieces. The terrified farm boy scrambles backward until he is forced to the edge of a deep crevice. The sinister raider stands over him with his weapon raised and lets out a horrible, shrieking laugh. Exterior, Tatooine, Rock Canyon, floor, day. Shaitu forces himself into the shadows of a small alcove in the rocks as the vicious Pokey people walk past carrying the inert Luigi, who is dropped in a heap before the speeder. The Pokey people ransack the speeder, throwing parts and supplies in all directions. Suddenly they stop. Then everything is quiet for a few moments. A great howling moan is heard echoing throughout the canyon, which sends the Pokey people fleeing in terror. Shaitu moves even tighter into the shadows as the slight swishing sound that frightened off the Pokey people grows even closer, until a shabby old desert rat of a man appears and leans over Luigi. His ancient leathery face, cracked and weathered by exotic climates, is set off by dark, penetrating eyes and a shaggy black mustache. Ben Kenobi squints his eyes as he scrutinizes the unconscious farm boy. Shaitu makes a slight sound and Ben turns and looks right at him.
Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid.
Shaitu waddles over to where Luigi lies crumpled in a heap.
Wah, wah.
Then puts his hand on Luigi's forehead and he begins to come around.
Don't worry. He'll be all right.
What happened?
Rest easy, son. You've had a busy day. You're fortunate you're still in one piece.
Ben Kenobi, boy, am I glad to see you.
The Junlin wastes are not to be traveled lightly. Tell me, young Luke, what brings you out this far?
Oh, this little droid. I think he's searching for his former master. I've never seen such devotion in a droid before. There seems to be no stopping him. He claims to be the property of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is he a relative of yours? Do you know who he's talking about?
Ben ponders for a moment, stroking his mustache.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I haven't heard for a long time. A long time.
I think my uncle knew him. He's said to be dead.
Oh, he's not dead. Not yet.
You know him?
Well, of course I know him. He's me. I haven't gone by the name Obi-Wan since, before you were born.
Then this droid does belong to you.
Don't seem to remember ever owning a droid. Very interesting.
He suddenly looks up at the overhanging cliffs.
I think we'd better get indoors. The Pokey people are easily startled, but they will soon be back and in greater numbers.
Luigi sits up and rubs his head. Wah! Luigi looks around.
3PO.
Exterior, Tatooine, sandpit, rock mesa, day. Little Shaitu stands at the edge of a large sandpit. Wah, 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 wah. Luigi and Ben stand over a very dented and tangled 3PO, lying half buried in the sand. One of her arms is broken off. Luigi tries to revive the inert robot by shaking her and then flips a hidden switch on her back several times until finally the mechanical woman's systems turn on.
Where am I? I must have taken a bad step.
Can you stand? We've got to get out of here before the Pokey people return.
I don't think I can make it. You go on, Master Luigi. There's no sense in you risking yourself on my account. I'm done for.
Wah.
No, you're not. What kind of a talk is that?
Luigi and Ben help the battered robot to her feet. Little Shaitu watches from the top of the pit. Ben glances around suspiciously. Sensing something, he stands up and sniffs the air.
Quickly, son. They're on the move.
Interior, Kenobi's dwelling. The small Spartan hovel is cluttered with desert junk, but still manages to radiate an air of time-worn comfort and security. Luigi is in one corner repairing 3PO's arm, as old Ben sits thinking.
No, my father didn't fight in the wars. He was a navigator on the Spice of Freight.
Well, that's what your uncle told you. He didn't hold with your father's ideals. Thought he should have stayed here and not gotten involved.
You fought in the Clone Wars.
Yes, I was once a Jedi Knight, same as your father.
I wish I had known him.
He was the best star pilot in the galaxy and a cunning warrior. I understand you've become quite a good pilot yourself. And he was a good friend. Which reminds me.
Ben gets up and goes to a chest where he rummages around. As Luigi finishes repairing 3PO and starts to fit the restraining bolt back on, 3PO looks at him nervously. Luigi thinks about the bolt for a moment, then puts it on the table. Ben shuffles up and presents Luigi with a short handle with several electronic gadgets attached to it.
I have something here for you. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it. He feared you might follow old Obi-Wan on some damn fool idealistic crusade like your father did.
Sir, if you'll not be needing me, I'll close down for a while.
Sure, go ahead.
Ben hands Lukiji the saber.
What is it?
Your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight, not as clumsy or as random as a blaster.
Lukiji pushes a button on the handle. A long beam shoots out about 4 feet and flickers there. The light plays across the ceiling.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized time. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Before the Dark Times. Before the Empire.
Lukiji hasn't really been listening.
How did my father die?
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father. Now the Jedi are all but extinct. Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force.
The Force?
Well, the Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. Wah wah. Now, let's see if we can't figure out what you are, my little friend, and where you come from.
I saw a part of the message he was...
Lukiji is cut short as the recorded image of the rebel princess is projected from Shai-Tu's face.
I seem to have found it.
Lukiji stops his work as the image flickers before his eyes.
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I have placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of the Shai-Tu unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
There's a little static and the transmission is cut short. Old Ben leans back and strokes his mustache. He silently puffs on a tarnished chrome water pipe. Lukiji has stars in his eyes.
You must learn the ways of the Force if you're to come with me to Alderaan.
Alderaan. I'm not going to Alderaan. I've got to go home. It's late. I'm in for it as it is.
I need your help, Lukiji. She needs your help. I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
I can't get involved. I've got work to do. It's not that I like the Empire. I hate it. But there's nothing I can do about it right now. It's such a long way from here.
That's your uncle talking.
Oh God, my uncle. How am I ever going to explain this?
Learn about the Force, Lukiji.
Look, I can take you as far as Anchorhead. You can get the transport there to Mos Eisley or wherever you're going.
You must do what you feel is right, of course.
Exterior space. An Imperial Star Destroyer heads toward the evil planet-like battle station, the Death Star. Interior, Death Star, conference room. 8 Imperial senators and generals sit around a black conference table. Imperial Koopa Troopas stand guard around the room. Commander Wart, a young, slimy-looking general, is speaking.
Until this battle station is fully operational, we're vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. They're more dangerous than you realize.
The bitter Admiral Mauser twists nervously in his chair.
Dangerous to your Starfleet, Commander, not to this battle station.
The rebellion will soon against deployed in the Imperial Senate as long as...
Suddenly, all heads turn as Commander Wart's speech is cut short and the Grand Moff Bowser, governor of the Imperial Outland regions, enters. He is followed by his powerful ally, the Sith Lord, Darth Vader. All of the generals stand and bow before the large, green, evil-looking governor as he takes his place at the head of the table. The Dark Lord stands behind him.
The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I've just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the Old Republic have been swept away.
That's impossible. How the Emperor retain control of the bureaucracy?
The regional governors now have direct control over territories. Fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station.
And what of the rebellion? If the rebels can obtain a complete technical reader of the station is impossible, however unlikely that they may find a weakness and exploit it.
Wow, the plans you refer to will soon be back in our hands.
Any attack made by the rebel against this station will be a useless gesture, no matter what technical data they've obtained. This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Wow, don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes, or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden
Suddenly, Mauser chokes and starts to turn blue under Vader's spell.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this! Waiter, release him!
As you wish.
This bickering is pointless. Lord Waiter will provide us with the location of the rebel fortress by the time the station is operational. We will then crush the rebellion with one swift stroke.
Exterior, Tatooine, wasteland. The speeder stops before what remains of the huge Ninja sandcrawler. Lukiji and Ben walk among the smoldering rubble and scattered bodies.
It looks like the Pokey people did this. Alright, look. Here are the gaffy sticks. Bantha tracks. It's just, I've never heard of them hitting anything this big before.
Ben is crouching in the sand studying the tracks.
They didn't. But we are meant to think they did. These tracks are side by side. Pokey people ride single file to hide their numbers.
These are the same ninjas that sold us Shaitu and 3PO.
And these blast points, too accurate for Pokey people. Only Imperial Koopa troopers are so precise.
Why would Imperial troops want to slaughter ninjas?
Lukiji looks back at the speeder where Shaitu and 3PO are inspecting the dead ninjas and puts two and two together.
If they trace the robots here, they may have learned who they sold them to, and that'll lead them back to home.
Lukiji reaches a sudden horrible realization, then races for the speeder and jumps in.
Wait, Lukiji, it's too dangerous!
Lukiji races off, leaving Ben and the two robots alone with the burning sandcrawler. Exterior, Tatooine, wasteland. Lukiji races across the flat landscape in his battered land speeder. Exterior, Tatooine, desert, Lars' homestead. The speeder roars up to the burning homestead. Lukiji jumps out and runs to the smoking holes that were once his home. Debris is scattered everywhere, and it looks as if a great battle has taken place.
Uncle Egad! On to Birdo! Uncle Egad!
Lukiji stumbles around in a daze, looking for his aunt and uncle. Suddenly he comes upon their smoldering remains. He is stunned and cannot speak. Hate replaces fear, and a new resolve comes over him. Interior, Death Star, detention corridor. Two Koopa troopers open an electronic cell door and allow several Imperial guards to enter. Princess Peach's face is filled with defiance, which slowly gives way to fear as a giant black torture robot enters, followed by Darth Vader.
Wah! And now, Your Highness, we will discuss the location of your hidden rebel base.
The torture robot gives off a steady beeping sound as it approaches Princess Peach and extends one of its mechanical arms bearing a large hypodermic needle. The door slides shut and the long cell block hallway appears peaceful. The muffled screams of the rebel princess are barely heard. Exterior, Tatooine, wasteland. There is a large bonfire of ninja bodies blazing in front of the sandcrawler as Ben and the robots finish burning the dead. Lukiji drives up in the speeder and Ben walks over to him.
There's nothing you could have done, Lukiji. Had you been there, you'd have been killed too, and the droids would now be in the hands of the Empire.
I wanted to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing here for me now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi just like my father.
Exterior, Tatooine, wasteland. The land speeder with Lukiji, Shaitu, 3PO, and Ben zooms across the desert. The speeder stops on a bluff overlooking the spaceport at Mos Eisley. It is a haphazard array of low, gray concrete structures and semi-domes. A harsh gale blows across the stark canyon floor. Lukiji adjusts his goggles and walks to the edge of the craggy bluff where Ben is standing.
Mos Eisley Spaceport. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Ben looks over at Lukiji, who gives the old Jedi a determined smile. Exterior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley, street. The speeder is stopped on a crowded street by several combat-hardened Koopa troopers who look over the two robots. A Koopa questions Lukiji.
How long have you had these droids?
About 3 or 4 seasons.
They're for sale if you want them.
Let me see your identification.
Lukiji becomes very nervous as he fumbles to find his ID, while Ben speaks to the trooper in a very controlled voice.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
These are not the droids we're looking for.
We can go about our business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along, move along.
The speeder pulls up in front of a rundown blockhouse cantina on the outskirts of the spaceport. Various strange forms of transport, including several unusual beasts of burden, are parked outside the bar. A ninja runs up and begins to fondle the speeder.
I can't abide these ninjas, disgusting creatures.
As Lukiji gets out of the speeder, he tries to shoo the ninja away.
Go on. I can't understand how we got by those troopers. I thought we were dead.
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded. You will find it a powerful ally.
Do you really think we're going to find a pilot here that'll take us to Alderaan?
Well, most of the best freighter pilots can be found here. Only watch your step. This place can be a little rough.
I'm ready for anything.
Come along, Shaitu.
Interior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley, cantina. The young adventurer and his 2 mechanical servants follow Ben Kenobi into the smoke-filled cantina. The murky, moldy den is filled with a startling array of weird and exotic alien creatures and monsters at the long metallic bar. At first the sight is horrifying. One-eyed, thousand-eyed, slimy, furry, scaly, tentacled, and clawed creatures huddle over drinks. Ben moves to an empty spot at the bar near a group of repulsive but human scum. Tapper, who is tending bar, stops Lukiji and the robots.
We don't serve their kind here.
Lukiji, still recovering from the shock of seeing so many outlandish creatures, doesn't quite catch the bartender's drift.
What the?
Your droids, they'll have to wait outside. We don't want them here.
Lukiji looks to old Ben, who is busy talking to one of the galactic pirates. He notices that several of the gruesome creatures along the bar are giving him a very unfriendly glare. Lukiji pats 3PO on the shoulder.
Listen, why don't you wait outside by the speeder? We don't want any trouble.
I heartily agree with you, sir.
3PO and her stubby partner go outside, and most of the creatures at the bar go back to their drinks. Ben is standing next to Donkey Kubaka, a large ape-looking creature with a red tie. He's a 200-year-old Wookiee and a sight to behold. Ben speaks to the Wookiee, pointing to Lukiji several times during his conversation, and the huge creature suddenly lets out a horrifying laugh. Lukiji is more than a little bit disconcerted and pretends not to hear the conversation between Ben and the giant Wookiee. Lukiji is terrified but tries not to show it. He quietly sips his drink, looking over the crowd for a more sympathetic ear or whatever. A pink walrus-like creature with large eyes gives Lukiji a rough shove. The Flippers is obviously drunk. Lukiji tries to ignore the creature and turns back to his drink. A thwomp and a small rodent-like beast join the belligerent monstrosity.
He doesn't like you.
I'm sorry.
I don't like you either.
The Flippers is getting agitated and yells some unintelligible gibberish at the now rather nervous young adventurer.
Don't insult us. You just watch yourself. We're wanted men. I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
I'll be careful then.
You'll be dead.
The rodent lets out a loud grunt and everything at the bar moves away. Lukiji tries to remain cool, but it isn't easy. His 3 adversaries ready their weapons. Old Ben moves in behind Lukiji.
This little one isn't worth the effort. Come, let me buy you something.
A powerful blow from the unpleasant creature sends the young would-be Jedi sailing across the room, crashing through tables and breaking a large jug filled with a foul-looking liquid. With a blood-curdling shriek, the Flippers draws a wicked chrome laser pistol from his belt and levels it at old Ben. Tapper panics.
No blasters! No blasters!
With astounding agility, old Ben's laser sword sparks to life, and in a flash, a Flipper lies on the floor. The rodent is cut in two, and the thwomp lies doubled, cut from chin to groin. Lukiji, shaking and totally amazed at the old man's abilities, attempts to stand. The entire fight has lasted only a matter of seconds. The cantina goes back to normal, although Ben is given a respectable amount of room at the bar. Lukiji, rubbing his bruised head, approaches the old man with a new awe. Ben points to the Wookiee.
This is Donkey Kubaka. He's the first mate on a ship that might suit our needs.
Exterior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley Street. 3PO paces in front of the cantina as Shy-2 carries on a conversation with another little red astro droid. A creature comes out of the cantina and approaches 2 Koopa Troopers in the street.
I don't like the look of this.
Interior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley Cantina. Strange creatures play exotic big band music on odd-looking instruments as Lukiji, still giddy, downs a fresh drink and follows Ben and Donkey Kubaka to a booth where Mario Solo is sitting. Mario is a tough, roguish star pilot about 30 years old, a mercenary on a starship. He is simple, sentimental, and cocksure.
Mario Solo, I'm a captain of the Millennium Falcon, and DK here tells me you're looking for passage to the Alderaan system.
Yes, indeed. If it's a fast ship.
Fastest ship? You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon?
Should I have?
It's the best ship. It's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Ben reacts to Solo's stupid attempt to impress them with obvious misinformation.
I've outrun Imperial starships, not the local abort cruisers, mind you. I'm talking about the big Corelliana ships now. Ships are fast enough for you, old man. Or what's the cargo?
Only passengers. Myself, the boy, 2 droids, and no questions asked.
What is it? Some kind of local trouble?
Let's just say we'd like to avoid any Imperial entanglements.
Oh, well, that's the real trick, isn't it? And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000 in advance, sir.
At 10,000, we could almost buy our own ship for that.
But who's going to fly it, kid? You?
You bet I could. I'm not such a bad pilot myself. We don't have to sit there and listen.
We haven't that much with us, but we could pay you 2,000 now, plus 15 when we reach Alderaan.
17, huh? Okay, you guys have got yourself a ship. We'll leave as soon as you're ready. Docking Bay in 94.
94.
Looks like somebody's beginning to take an interest in your handiwork.
Ben and Lukiji turn around to see 4 Imperial Koopa Troopers looking at the dead bodies and asking the bartender some questions. The bartender points to the booth.
Alright, we'll check it out.
The Koopas look over at the booth, but Lukiji and Ben are gone. The bartender shrugs his shoulders in puzzlement.
17,000. Oh, those are guys that must have really been desperate. This could have really saved my neck. I'll get back to the ship and get her ready.
Exterior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley Street.
You'll have to sell your speeder.
That's okay. I'm never coming back to this planet again.
Interior, Mos Eisley, Cantina. As Mario is about to leave, Pedo, a walking, talking piranha plant, pokes a gun in his side.
Twice the Solo! Oh, yes, Pito. As a matter of fact, I was just going to see your boss. Tell Jabba that I've got his money.
Mario sits down and the alien sits across from him, holding the gun on him.
It's too late. You should have played him when you had the chance. Jabba's put a price on your head so large that every bounty hunter in the galaxy will be looking for you. I'm lucky I found you first. Yeah, but at this time I got to the money. If you give it to me, I might forget I found you. I don't have it with me. Tell Jabba. Jabba's through with you. He has no time for smugglers who drop this in the first sign of an Imperial cruiser. Even I get bored sometimes. Do you think I had a choice?
Mario slowly reaches for his gun under the table.
You can tell that to Jabba. He may only take your ship over my dead body. That's the idea. I've been looking forward to killing you for a long time. Yes, I'll bet you have.
Suddenly the plant disappears in a blinding flash of light. Mario pulls his smoking gun from beneath the table as the other patrons look on in bemused amazement. Mario gets up and starts out of the cantina, flipping the bartender some coins as he leaves.
Sorry about the mess.
Interior, Death Star control room.
Wah! Wah! Her resistance to the mind probe is considerable. It will be some time before we can extract any information from her.
An Imperial Lockatu interrupts the meeting.
The final checkout is completed. All systems are operational. What course shall we set?
Perhaps you would respond to an alternative form of persuasion.
What do you mean?
I think it is time we demonstrate the full power of this station. Set your course for our Princess Peach's home planet of Alderaan.
With pleasure.
Exterior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley Street. 4 heavily armed Koopa Troopas move menacingly along a narrow slum alleyway crowded with darkly clad creatures hawking exotic goods in dingy little stalls. Men, monsters, and robots crouch in waste-filled doorways, whispering and hiding from the hot winds.
Lock the door, Shy-Two.
One of the Troopas checks the tightly locked door and moves on down the alleyway. The door slides open a crack and 3PO peeks out. Shy-Two is barely visible in the background.
Alright, check that side of the street. It's secure. Move on to the next one.
The door opens. 3PO moves into the doorway.
I would much rather have gone with Master Lukiji than stay here with you. I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault.
Wah wah.
You watch your language.
Exterior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley Street, alleyway, used speeder lot. Ben and Lukiji are standing in a sleazy used speeder lot, talking with a short, purple-clad, masked, bunny-like speeder dealer. Strange, exotic bodies and spindly-legged beasts pass by as the bunny concludes the sale by giving Lukiji some coins.
He says it's the best he can do. Since the XP-38 came out, they just aren't in demand.
It will be enough.
Ben and Lukiji leave the speeder lot and walk down the dusty alleyway past a small robot herding a bunch of anteater-like creatures. Lukiji turns and gives one last forlorn look at this faithful speeder as he rounds a corner. A darkly clad creature moves out of the shadows as they pass and watches them as they disappear down another alleyway.
If the ship's as fast as he's boasting, we ought to do well.
Interior, docking port, entry, alleyway. Donkey Kubaka waits restlessly at the entrance to Docking Bay 94. Ben, Lukiji, and the robots make their way up the street. The darkly clad creature has followed them from the speeder lot. He stops in a nearby doorway and speaks into a small transmitter. Interior, Mos Eisley Spaceport, Docking Bay 94. DK leads the group into the giant dirt pit that is Docking Bay 94. Resting in the middle of the huge hole is a large, round, beat-up, pieced-together hunk of junk that could only loosely be called a starship.
What a piece of junk.
The dashing figure of Mario Solo comes down the boarding ramp.
She'll make a point of 5 beyond the speed of light. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid. I've added some special modifications myself.
Lukiji scratches his head. It's obvious he isn't sure about all this. DK rushes up the ramp and urges the others to follow.
We're a little rushed, so if you'll hurry aboard, we'll get out of here.
The group rushes up the gangplank, passing a grinning Mario. Interior, Millennium Falcon. DK settles into the pilot's chair and starts the mighty engines of the starship. Interior, Mos Eisley Spaceport, Docking Bay 94. Lukiji, Ben, 3PO, and Shy-2 move toward the Millennium Falcon, passing Mario.
Hello, sir.
Exterior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley Street. 8 Imperial Koopa Troopas rush up the darkly clad creature.
Which way?
The darkly clad creature points to the door of the docking bay.
Alright, men, load your weapons.
Interior, Mos Eisley Spaceport, Docking Bay 94. The Koopas hold their guns at the ready and charge down the docking bay entrance.
Stop that ship!
Mario looks up and sees the Imperial Koopa Troopas rushing into the docking bay. Several of the Koopas fire at Mario as he ducks into the spaceship.
Blast them!
Mario draws his laser pistol and pops off a couple of shots, which force the Koopas to dive for safety. The pirate ship engines whine as Mario hits the release button that slams the overhead entry shut. Interior, Millennium Falcon.
DK, get us out of here!
The group straps in for takeoff.
Oh my, I'd forgotten how much I hate space travel.
Exterior, Tatooine, Mos Eisley, streets. The half-dozen Koopas at a checkpoint hear the general alarm and look to the sky as the huge starship rises above the dingy slum dwellings and quickly disappears into the morning sky. Interior, Millennium Falcon, cabin. Mario climbs in the pilot's chair next to DK, who chatters away as he points to something on the radar scope. Exterior, space, planet Tatooine. The Corellian pirate ship zooms from Tatooine into space. Interior, Millennium Falcon, cockpit. Mario frantically types information into the ship's computer. Lil Shiitsu appears momentarily at the cockpit doorway.
Wah wah.
Then scurries away.
It looks like an Imperial cruiser. Our passengers must be hotter than I thought. Trying to hold them off. Angle the deflector shield while I make the calculations for the jump to light speed.
Exterior, space, planet Tatooine. The Millennium Falcon pirate ship races away from the yellow planet Tatooine. It is followed by two huge Imperial Star Destroyers. Interior, Millennium Falcon, cockpit. Over the shoulders of DK and Mario, we can see the galaxy spread before them. Luigi and Ben make their way into the cramped cockpit where Mario continues his calculations.
Stay sharp. There are two more coming in. They're going to try to cut us off.
Why don't you at one of them? I thought you said this thing was fast.
Oh, watch your mouth, kid, or you're going to find yourself floating home. We'll be safe enough once we make the jump to hyperspace. Besides, I know a few maneuvers. We'll lose them.
Exterior, space, planet Tatooine. Imperial cruisers fire at the pirate ship. Interior, Millennium Falcon, cockpit. The ship shudders as an explosion flashes outside the window.
Here's where the fun begins.
How long before we can make the jump to light speed?
It'll take a few moments to get the coordinates from the navicomputer.
The ship begins to rock violently as lasers hit it.
Are you kidding? At the way to the gaining.
Traveling through hyperspace isn't like dusting of crops, boy. Without a precise calculations, we could fly right through a star about too close to a supernova, and that's the end of your trip real quick, wouldn't it?
The ship is now constantly battered with laser fire as a red warning light begins to flash.
What's that flashing?
We're losing our deflector shield. Go strap yourself in. I'm going to make the jump to light speed.
The galaxy brightens and they move faster, almost as if crashing a barrier. Stars become streets as the pirate ship makes the jump to hyperspace. Exterior, space. The Millennium Falcon zooms into infinity in less than a second. Exterior, Death Star. Alderaan looms behind the Death Star battle station. Interior, Death Star, control room. Admiral Mauser enters the quiet control room and bows before Governor Bowser, who stands before the huge wall screen displaying a small green planet.
We've entered the Alderaan system.
Waiter and two Koopa Troopas enter with Princess Peach. Her hands are bound.
Governor Bowser, I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash. I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board.
Charming to the last. You don't know how hard I found it signing the order to terminate your life.
I'm surprised you had the courage to take the responsibility yourself.
Princess Peach, before your execution, I would like you to be my guest at a ceremony that will make this battle station operational. No star system will dare oppose the Emperor now.
The more you tighten your grip, Bowser, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
Not after we demonstrate the power of this station. In a way, you have determined the choice of the planet that will be destroyed first. Since you are reluctant to provide us with the location of the rebel base, I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
No, Alderaan is peaceful. We have no weapons. You can't possibly...
You would prefer another target? A military target? Then name the system.
Bowser waves menacingly toward Peach.
I grow tired of asking this, so it'll be the last time. Where's the rebel base?
Peach overhears an intercom voice announcing the approach to Alderaan.
Dantooine.
Peach lowers her head.
They're on Dantooine.
There, you see, Lord Waiter? She can be reasonable. Continue with the operation. You may fire when ready.
What?
You're far too trusting. Dantooine is too remote to make an effective demonstration. But don't worry, we will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
No.
Interior, Death Star, blast chamber.
Wah! Commence primary ignition.
A button is pressed, which switches on a panel of lights. A hooded Imperial soldier reaches overhead and pulls a lever. Another lever is pulled. Waiter reaches for still another lever, and a bank of lights on a panel and wall light up. A huge beam of light emanates from within a cone-shaped area and converges into a single laser beam out toward Alderaan. The small green planet of Alderaan is blown into space dust. Interior, Millennium Falcon, central hold area. Ben watches as Luigi practices the lightsaber with a small seeker robot. Ben suddenly turns away and sits down. He falters, seems almost faint.
Are you alright? What's wrong?
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened.
Ben rubs his forehead. He seems to drift into a trance. Then he fixes his gaze on Lukiji.
You'd better get on with your exercises.
Mario enters the room.
Well, you can forget your troubles with those Imperial slugs. I told you I'd outrun them.
Lukiji is once again practicing with the lightsaber.
Well, don't everybody thank me at once.
3PO watches DK and Shaitu, who are engrossed in a game in which three-dimensional holographic figures move along a chest-type board.
Anyway, we should be at Alderaan about 200 hours.
DK and the two robots sit around the lighted table covered with small holographic monsters. Each side of the table has a small computer monitor embedded in it. DK seems very pleased with himself as he rests his lanky fur-covered arms over his head.
Now, be careful, Shaitu.
Shaitu immediately reaches up and taps the computer with his stubby claw hand, causing one of the holographic creatures to walk to the new square. A sudden frown crosses DK's face. 3PO intercedes on behalf of her small companion and begins to argue with the huge Wookiee.
He made a fair move. Screaming about it won't help you.
Let him have it. Is it not wise to upset a Wookiee?
But sir, nobody worries about upsetting a droid.
That's because the droids don't pull people's arms out of the sockets when they lose. Or Wookiees are known to do that.
I see your point, sir. I suggest a new strategy, Shaitu. Let the Wookiee win.
Lukiji stands in the middle of the small hold area. He seems frozen in place. A humming lightsaber is held high over his head. Ben watches him from the corner, studying his movements. Mario watches with a bit of smugness.
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
You mean that it controls your actions?
Partially, but it also obeys your commands.
Suspended at eye level about 10 feet in front of Lukiji, a Seeker, a chrome baseball-like robot covered with antenna, hovers slowly in a wide arc. The ball floats to one side of the youth, then to the other. Suddenly, it makes a lightning-swift lunge and stops within a few feet of Lukiji's face. Lukiji doesn't move and the ball backs off. It slowly moves behind the boy, then makes another quick lunge, this time emitting a blood-red laser beam as it attacks. It hits Lukiji in the leg, causing him to tumble over.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons, and no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
You don't believe in the Force, do you?
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all-powerful force controlling everything. There's no mystical energy field that controls my destiny.
Wario smiles quietly.
It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense.
I suggest you try it again, Lukiji.
Ben places a large helmet on Lukiji's head, which covers his eyes.
This time, let go of your conscious self and act on instinct.
With the blaster shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
Mario skeptically shakes his head as Ben throws the Seeker into the air. The ball shoots straight up in the air, then drops like a rock. Lukiji swings the lightsaber around, blindly missing the Seeker, which fires off a laser bolt that hits Lukiji square on the seat of the pants. He lets out a painful yell and attempts to hit the Seeker.
Stretch out with your feelings.
Lukiji stands in one place, seemingly frozen. The Seeker makes a dive at Lukiji and, incredibly, he manages to deflect the bolt. The ball ceases firing and moves back to its original position.
You see? You can do it.
I call it a luck.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
Look, going good against the remotes is one thing. Going good against the living, that's something else.
Mario notices a small light flashing on the far side of the control panel.
Looks like we're coming up on Alderaan.
Mario and DK head back to the cockpit.
You know, I did feel something. I could almost see the remote.
That's good. You have taken your first step into a large world.
Interior Death Star conference room. Imperial Officer Lakitu stands before Governor Bowser and the evil Dark Lord Darth Vader.
Yes?
Our scout ships have reached Dantooine. They found the remnants of a rebel base, but they estimate that it has been deserted for some time. They are now conducting extensive search of the surrounding systems.
She lied! She lied to us! Wow, I told you she would never consciously betray the rebellion. Terminate her! Immediately!
Exterior hyperspace. The pirate ship is just coming out of hyperspace. A strange, surreal light show surrounds the ship. Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit.
Stand by, DK. Here we go. Cut in the sublight engine.
Mario pulls back on a control lever. Outside the cockpit window, stars begin streaking past, seem to decrease in speed, then stop. Suddenly, the starship begins to shudder and violently shakes about. Asteroids begin to race toward them, battering the sides of the ship.
Oh, what the... Oh, we've come out of hyperspace into a meteor shower. Some kind of asteroid collision. It's not on any of the charts.
The giant Wookiee flips off several controls and seems very cool in the emergency. Lukiji makes his way into the bouncing cockpit.
What's going on?
Our position is correct, except no Alderaan.
What do you mean? Where is it?
That's what I'm trying to tell you, kid. It ain't there. It's been totally blown away.
Ben moves into the cockpit behind Lukiji as the ship begins to settle down.
Destroyed by the Empire!
The entire Starfleet couldn't destroy the whole planet. It'd take 1,000 ships with more firepower than I've...
A signal light starts flashing on the control panel and a muffled alarm starts humming.
There's another ship coming in.
Maybe they know what happened.
It's an Imperial fighter.
DK barks his concern. A huge explosion bursts outside the cockpit window, shaking the ship violently. A tiny, finned Imperial TIE fighter races past the cockpit window.
It followed us.
No, it's a short-range fighter.
There aren't any bases around here. Oh, where did it come from?
It sure is leaving in a big hurry. If they identify us, we're in a big trouble.
Not if I can help it. DK, jam its transmissions.
It'd be as well to let it go. It's too far out of range.
Not for long.
Exterior space. The pirate ship zooms after the TIE fighter. Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit. The tension mounts as the pirate ship gains on the tiny fighter. In the distance, one of the stars becomes brighter until it is obvious that that's the TIE ship. The TIE ship is heading for it. Ben stands behind DK.
A fighter that size couldn't get it this deep into space on its own.
Then he must have gotten lost. Been part of a convoy or something.
Well, he ain't going to be around long enough to tell anyone about us.
The TIE fighter is losing ground to the larger pirate ship. The distant star can now be distinguished as a small moon or planet.
Look at him. He's heading for that smaller moon.
I think I can get him before he gets there. He's almost in a range.
The small moon begins to take on the appearance of a monstrous spherical battle station.
That's not a moon. It's a space station.
Is it too big to be a space station?
I have a very bad feeling about this.
Turn this ship around.
Yeah, I think you're right. Full reverser. DK, lock in the auxiliary power.
The pirate ship shudders and the TIE fighter accelerates away toward the gargantuan battle station.
Why are we still moving toward it?
We're caught in a tractor beam. It's pulling us in.
But there's got to be something you can do.
There's nothing I can do about it, kid. I'm at full power. I'm going to have to shut down. But they're not going to get me without a fight.
Ben puts a hand on his shoulder.
You can't win, but there are alternatives to fighting.
As the battered starship is towed closer to the awesome metal moon, the immense size of the massive battle station becomes staggering. Running along the equator of the gigantic sphere is a mile-high band of huge docking ports into which the helpless pirate ship is dragged. Exterior Death Star, huge port doors. The helpless Millennium Falcon is pulled past a docking port control room and huge laser turret cannons.
Clear Bay 237. We're opening the magnetic field.
Interior Death Star, docking bay 2037. The pirate ship is pulled in through port doors of the Death Star, coming to rest in a huge hangar. 30 Koopa Troopas stand at attention in a central assembly area.
To your stations. Come with me.
Interior Death Star hallway. Koopa Troopas run to their posts. Interior Death Star, hangar 2037. A line of Koopa Troopas march toward the pirate ship in readiness to board it, while other Koopas stand with weapons ready to fire.
Close all outboard shields. Close all outboard shields.
Interior Death Star conference room. Bowser pushes a button in response to intercom buzz.
Yes?
We've captured a prey entering the remains of the Alderaan system. It's more as masters of a ship that blasts its way out of Mos Eisley.
Wow, they must be trying to return the stolen plans to the princess. She may yet be of some use to us.
Interior Death Star, docking bay 2037. Waiter and a commander approach the troops as Lakitu and several heavily armed Koopas exit the spacecraft.
Unlock 157 and 9. Release charges.
There's no one on board, sir. According to the log, the crew abandoned ship right after takeoff. It must be a decoy, sir. Several of the escape pods have been jettisoned.
Wow, did you find any droids?
No, sir. If there were any on board, they might have also jettisoned.
Wow, send a scanning crew on board. I want every part of this ship checked.
Yes, sir.
Wow, I sense something. Wow, a presence I haven't felt since. Wow.
Waiter turns quickly and exits the hangar.
Give me a scan crew in here on the double. I want every part of this ship checked.
Interior Millennium Falcon hallway. A Koopa runs through the hallway heading for the exit. In a few moments, all is quiet. The muffled sounds of the distant Lakitu giving orders finally fade. 2 floor panels suddenly pop up, revealing Mario and Lukiji. Ben sticks his head out of a third locker.
Boy, it's a lucky you had these compartments.
I use them for smuggling. I never thought I'd be smuggling myself in them. This is ridiculous. Even if I could take off, I'd never get past the tractor beam.
Leave that to me.
Damn fool. I knew that you were going to say that.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Mario shakes his head, muttering to himself. DK agrees. Interior Death Star, main forward bay. The 2 crewmen carry a heavy box on board the ship, past the 2 Koopas guarding either side of the ramp.
The ship's all yours. If the scanners pick up anything, report it immediately. All right, let's go.
The crewmen enter the pirate ship, and a loud crashing sound is followed by a voice calling to the guard below.
Hey, down there, could you give us a hand with this?
The Koopas enter the ship, and a quick round of stomps is heard. Interior Death Star, forward bay, command office. In a very small command office near the entrance to the pirate ship, a gantry Lakitu looks out his window and notices the guards are missing. He speaks into the comm link.
TX-421, why aren't you at your post? TX-421, do you copy?
A Koopa comes down the ramp of the pirate ship and waves to the gantry Lakitu, pointing to his ear, indicating his comm link is not working. The gantry Lakitu shakes his head in disgust and heads for the door, giving his aide an annoyed look.
Take over. We've got a bad transmit. I'll see what I can do.
As the Lakitu approaches the door, it slides open, revealing the towering DK. The gantry Lakitu, in a momentary state of shock, stumbles backward. With a bone-chilling howl, the giant Wookiee flattens the Lakitu with one blow. The aide immediately reaches for his pistol, but is blasted by Mario, dressed as a Koopa. Ben and the robots enter the room, quickly followed by Lukiji, also dressed as a Koopa. Lukiji quickly removes his helmet.
You know, between his howling and your blasting everything in the sight, it's a wonder the whole station doesn't know we're here.
Bring them on. I prefer a straight-to-fight to all this sneaking around.
We found a computer outlet, sir.
Ben feeds some information into the computer and a map of the city appears on the monitor. He begins to inspect it carefully. 3PO and Shaitu look over the control panel.
Wah, 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 wah.
He says he's found the main control to the power beam that's holding the ship here. He'll try to make the precise location appear on the monitor.
The computer monitor flashes readouts.
The tractor beam is coupled to this main reactor in 7 locations. A power loss at one of the terminals will allow the ship to leave.
Ben studies the data on the monitor readout.
I don't think you boys can help. I must go alone.
Or whatever you say. I've done more than I bargained for on this trip already.
I wanted to go with you.
Be patient, Lukiji. Stay and watch over the droids.
But he can...
They must be delivered safely, or other star systems will suffer the same fate as Alderaan. Your destiny lies along a different path from mine. The Force will be with you. Always.
Ben adjusts the lightsaber on his belt and silently steps out of the command office, then disappears down a long gray hallway.
Oh boy, you said it, DK.
Mario looks at Lukiji.
Why did you dig up that older fossil?
Ben is a great man.
Yeah, great at getting us into a trouble.
I didn't hear you give any ideas.
Well, anything would have been better than just hanging around and waiting for them to pick us up.
Why do you think...
Wah, 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 wah.
What is it?
I'm afraid I'm not quite sure, sir. He says I found her and keeps repeating she's here.
Well, who? Who has he found?
Wah, 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 wah.
Princess Peach.
The princess. She's here.
Princess?
Where? Where is she?
Princess? What's going on now?
Level 5, Detention Block AA-23. I'm afraid she's scheduled to be terminated.
Oh, no. We've got to do something.
What are you talking about?
The droid belongs to her. She's the one in the message. We've got to help her.
Now look, don't get any funny ideas. The older man wants us to wait right to here.
But he didn't know she was here. Look, will you just find the way back into that detention block?
I'm not going anywhere.
They're going to execute her. Look, a few minutes ago you said you didn't want to just wait here and be captured. Now all you want to do is stay.
I'm marching into the detention areas and not what I had in mind.
But they're going to kill her.
Better her than me.
She's a witch.
Rich?
Yes, rich, powerful. Listen, if you were to rescue her, the reward would be...
What?
Well, more wealth than you can imagine.
I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit.
You'll get it.
I'd better.
You will.
All right, kid, but you'd better be right about this.
Mario looks at DK.
All right.
What's your plan?
3PO, hand me those binders there, will you?
Lukiji moves toward DK with electronic cuffs.
Okay, now, I'm going to put these on you. Okay, Mario, you put these on.
Lukiji sheepishly hands the binders to Mario.
Don't worry, DK. I think I know what he has in mind.
The Wookiee has a worried and frightened look on his face as Mario binds him with electronic cuffs.
Master Lukiji, sir, pardon me for asking, but, what should Shaitu and I do if we're discovered here?
Lock the door.
And hope they don't have blasters.
That isn't very reassuring.
Lukiji and Mario put on their armored Koopa Troopa helmets and start off into the giant Imperial Death Star. Interior Death Star, detention area, elevator tube. Mario and Lukiji try to look inconspicuous in their armored suits as they wait for a vacuum elevator to arrive. Koopas, bureaucrats, and robots bustle about, ignoring the trio completely. Only a few give the giant Wookiee a curious glance. Finally, a small elevator arrives and the trio enters.
I can't see a thing in this helmet.
A bureaucrat races to get aboard also, but is signaled away by Mario. The door to the pod-like vehicle slides closed and the elevator car takes off through a vacuum tube. Interior Death Star main hallway. Several Imperial Lockitudes walk through the wide main passageway. They pass several Koopas and a robot similar to 3PO but with an insect face. At the far end of the hallway, a passing flash of Ben Kenobi appears and disappears down a small hallway. His appearance is so fleeting that it is hard to tell if he is real or just an illusion. No one in the hallway seems to notice him. Interior Death Star, interior elevator, detention security area. Luigi and Mario step forward to exit the elevator, but the door slides open behind them. The giant Wookiee and his 2 guards enter the old gray station. Guards and laser gates are everywhere. Mario whispers to Luigi under his breath,
This is not going to work.
Why didn't you say so before?
I did say so before.
Interior detention area. Elevator doors open. A tall, grim-looking Lockitoo approaches the trio.
Why are you taking this thing?
DK starts to protest, but Mario nudges him to shut up.
A prisoner transfer from block 1138. I wasn't notified. I'll have to clear it.
The Lockitoo goes back to his console and begins to punch in the information. There are only 3 other troopers in the area. Luigi and Mario survey the situation, checking all of the alarms, laser gates, and camera eyes. Mario unfastens one of DK's electronic cuffs and shrugs to Luigi. Suddenly, DK throws up his hands and grabs Mario's laser rifle.
Look out! He's a loser!
He's going to burn us all apart.
Go and get to him!
The startled guards are momentarily dumbfounded. Luigi and Mario have already pulled out their laser pistols and are blasting away at the terrifying Wookiee. Their barrage of laser fire misses DK, but hits the camera eye, laser gate controls, and the Imperial guards. The Lockitoo is the last of the guards to fall under the laser fire just as he is about to push the alarm system. Mario rushes to the comlink system, which is screeching questions about what is going on. He quickly checks the computer readout.
We've got to find out which cell this princess of yours is in. Here it is, cell 2187. You go get her. I'll hold them here.
Luigi races down one of the cell corridors. Mario speaks into the buzzing comlink.
Everything is under control. Situation is normal.
What happened?
I had a slight weapons malfunction, but everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
We're sending a squad up.
Negative. We had a reactor leak here now. Give us a few minutes to lock it down. Large leak. Very dangerous.
Who is this? What's your operating number?
Mario blasts the comlink and it explodes.
Boring a conversation anyway. Luigi, we're going to have a company.
Interior Death Star, cell row. Luigi stops in front of one of the cells and blasts the door away with his laser pistol. When the smoke clears, Luigi sees the dazzling young Princess Senator. She had been sleeping and is now looking at him with an uncomprehending look on her face. Luigi is stunned by her incredible beauty and stands staring at her with his mouth hanging open.
Aren't you a little short for a Koopa Trooper?
Luigi takes off his helmet, coming out of it.
What? Oh, the uniform. I'm Luigi Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
You who?
I'm here to rescue you. I forgot your Shaito unit. I'm here with Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi is here. Where is he?
Come on.
Interior Death Star conference room. Darth Vader paces the room as Governor Bowser sits at the far end of the conference table.
Wow, he is here.
Obi-Wan Kenobi? What makes you think so?
A tremor in the Force. The last time I felt it was in the presence of my old master.
Surely he must be dead by now.
Wow, don't underestimate the power of the Force.
The Jedi are extinct. Their fire has gone out of the universe. You, my friend, are all that's left of their religion.
There's a quiet buzz on the comlink.
Yes?
Governor Bowser, we have an emergency alert in the detention block. 23.
The princess! Put all sections on alert.
Wow, Obi-Wan is here. The Force is with him.
If you're right, he must not be allowed to escape.
Escape may not be his plan. I must face him alone.
Interior Death Star detention area, hallway. An ominous buzzing sound is heard on the other side of the elevator door.
DK! Get behind me! Get behind me!
A series of explosions knocks a hole in the elevator door through which several Imperial troops begin to emerge. Mario and DK fire their laser pistols at them through the smoke and flames. They turn and run down the cell hallway, meeting up with Luigi and Peach rushing toward them.
Can't get out of that way.
Looks like you managed to cut off our only escape route.
Or maybe you'd like it back in your cell, Your Highness.
Luigi takes a small comlink transmitter from his belt as they continue to exchange fire with Koopa Troopers making their way down the corridor.
D-3PO.
Yes, sir.
We've been cut off. Are there any other ways out of the cell bay? What was that? I didn't copy.
Interior Death Star, main bay gantry, control tower. 3PO paces the control center.
Wah, wah, wah.
I said all systems have been alerted to your presence, sir. The main entrance seems to be the only way in or out. All other information on your level is restricted.
Someone is banging on the door.
Open up in there!
Oh no.
Interior Death Star detention corridor. Luigi and Peach crouch together in an alcove for protection as they continue to exchange fire with troops. Mario and DK are barely able to keep the Koopas at bay at the far end of the hallway. The laser fire is very intense and smoke fills the narrow cell corridor.
There isn't any other way out.
I can't hold them off forever. Now what?
This is some kind of rescue. When you came in here, didn't you have a plan for getting out?
Here's the brains, sweetheart.
Luigi manages a sheepish grin and shrugs his shoulders.
Well, I didn't.
The princess grabs Luigi's gun and fires at a small grate in the wall next to Mario, almost frying him.
What the hell are you doing?
Somebody has to save our skins. Into the garbage chute, wise guy.
She jumps through the narrow opening as Mario and DK look on in amazement. DK sniffs the garbage chute.
Get in there, you big furry oaf. I don't care what you smell. Get in there and don't worry about it.
Mario gives him a big kick and the Wookiee disappears into the tiny opening. Luigi and Mario continue firing as they work their way toward the opening.
A wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her or I'm beginning to like her. Get into there.
Luigi ducks laser fire as he jumps into the darkness. Mario fires off a couple of quick blasts, creating a smoky cover, then slides into the chute himself and is gone. Interior Death Star garbage room. Mario tumbles into a large room filled with garbage and muck. Luigi is already stumbling around looking for an exit. He finds a small hatchway and struggles to get it open. It won't budge.
Oh, the garbage chute was a really wonderful idea. What an incredible smell you've discovered. Let's get out of here. Get away from there.
No, wait.
Mario draws his laser pistol and fires at the hatch. The laser bolt ricochets wildly around the small metal room. Everyone dives for cover in the garbage as the bolt explodes almost on top of them. Peach climbs out of the garbage with a rather grim look on her face.
Will you forget it? I already tried it. It's magnetically sealed.
Put that thing away. You're going to get us all killed.
Absolutely, your worship. Look, I had everything under control until you let us down here. You know, it's not going to take them long to figure out what happened to us.
It could be worse.
A loud, horrible, inhuman moan works its way up from the murky depths. Mario and Luigi stand fast with their laser pistols drawn. The Wookiee is cowering near one of the walls.
It's worse.
There's something alive in here.
That's your imagination.
Something that moved past my leg. Look, did you see that?
What?
Help!
Suddenly, Luigi is yanked under the garbage.
Luigi! Luigi! Luigi!
Mario tries to get to Luigi. Luigi surfaces with a gasp of air and thrashing of limbs. A white tentacle is wrapped around his throat.
Luigi!
Peach extends a long pipe toward him.
Luigi, grab a hold of this.
Blast it, will you? My guns are jammed.
Where?
Anywhere. Oh!
Mario fires his gun downward. Luigi is pulled back into the muck by the slimy tentacle.
Luigi! Luigi!
Suddenly, the walls of the garbage receptacle shudder and move in a couple of inches. Then everything is deathly quiet. Mario and Peach give each other a worried look as DK howls in the corner. With a rush of bubbles and muck, Luigi suddenly bobs to the surface.
Grab him.
Luigi seems to be released by the thing.
What happened?
I don't know. It just let go of me and disappeared.
Have I got a bad feeling about this?
Before anyone can say anything, the walls begin to rumble and edge toward the rebels.
The walls are moving.
Don't just stand there. Try and brace it with something.
They place poles and long metal beams between the closing walls, but they are simply snapped and bent as the giant trash mash rumbles on. The situation doesn't look too good.
Wait a minute.
Luigi pulls out his comm link.
Duipio, come in, Duipio. Where could you be?
Interior Death Star, main gallery, command office. A soft buzzer and the muted voice of Luigi calling out for D-3PO can be heard on 3PO's hand comm link, which is sitting on the deserted computer console. Shy-2 and 3PO are nowhere in sight. Suddenly there is a great explosion and the door of the control tower flies across the room. 4 armed Koopas enter the chamber.
Take over! Citroen, look there!
A Koopa pushes a button and the supply cabinet door slides open. D-3PO and Shy-2-D2 are inside. Shy-2 follows his bronze companion out into the office.
The madmen. They're heading for the prison level. If you hurry, you might catch them.
Follow me! You, stand guard!
The Koopas hustle off down the hallway, leaving the guard to watch over the command office.
Come on.
The guard aims a blaster at them.
Oh, all this excitement has overrun the circuits in my counterpart here. If you don't mind, I'd like to take him down to maintenance.
Alright.
The guard nods and 3PO, with little Shy-2 in tow, hurries out the door. Interior Death Star garbage room. As the walls rumble closer, the room gets smaller and smaller. DK is whining and trying to hold the wall back with his giant paws. Mario is leaning back against the other wall. Garbage is snapping and popping. Luigi is trying to reach 3PO.
Duipio, come in, Duipio. 3PO.
Mario and Peach try to brace the contracting walls with a pole. Peach begins to sink into the trash.
Get on the topper!
I can't.
Where could she be? Duipio, will you come in?
Interior Death Star main forward bay service panel.
They aren't here. Something must have happened to them. See if they've been captured.
Little Shaitu carefully plugs his flipper arm into a new wall socket.
Wah, wah, wah.
Hey!
Interior Death Star, garbage room. The walls are only feet apart. Peach and Mario are braced against the walls. The princess is frightened. They look at each other. Peach reaches out and takes Mario's hand and holds it tightly. She's terrified and suddenly groans as she feels the first crushing pressure against her body.
One thing's for sure, we're all going to be a lot thinner. Get on top of it.
I'm trying!
Interior Death Star, main forward bay, service panel.
Thank goodness they haven't found them. Where could they be?
Wah, wah.
Use the comlink. Oh my, I forgot I turned it off.
Interior Death Star, garbage room. Meanwhile, Luigi is lying on his side, trying to keep his head above the rising ooze. Luigi's comlink begins to buzz and he rips it off his belt. Interior Death Star, main forward bay, service panel. Muffled sounds of Luigi's voice over comlink can be heard, but not distinctly.
Are you there, sir?
Adipio,
We've had some problems.
will you shut up and listen to me? Shut down all the garbage matters on the detention level, will you? Do you copy?
No, shut them all down. Hurry!
3PO holds her head in agony as she hears the incredible screaming and hollering from Luigi's comlink.
Listen to them. They're dying, Shaitu. Curse my metal body. I wasn't fast enough. It's all my fault. My poor master.
Interior Death Star, garbage room. The screaming and hollering is the sound of joyous relief. The walls have stopped moving. Mario, DK, and Peach embrace in the background.
Well, all right. You did great.
Luigi moves to the pressure-sensitive hatch, looking for a number.
Hey, open the pressure maintenance house hatch on the unit number. Where are we?
Interior Death Star, main forward bay, service panel. 3PO looks at the computer panel as Mario reads the number.
326-827.
Interior Death Star, tractor beam, power generator trench. Ben enters a humming service trench that powers the huge tractor beam. The trench seems to be 100 miles deep. The clacking sound of huge switching devices can be heard. The old Jedi edges his way along a narrow ledge leading to a control panel that connects two large cables. He carefully makes several adjustments in the computer terminal, and several lights on the board go from red to blue. Interior Death Star, unused hallway. The group exits the garbage room into a dusty, unused hallway. Mario and Luigi remove the trooper suits and strap on the blaster belts.
If we can just avoid any more female advisor, we ought to be able to get out of here.
Luigi smiles and scratches his head as he takes the blaster from Mario.
Well, let's get to moving. Woo-hoo.
DK points to the hatch to the garbage room as he runs away.
Where are you going?
The blooper bangs against the hatch and a long white tentacle works its way out of the doorway searching for a victim. Mario aims his pistol.
No, wait. They'll hear.
Mario fires at the doorway. The noise of the blast echoes relentlessly throughout the empty passageway. Luigi simply shakes his head in disgust.
Come here, you bigger coward.
DK shakes his head no.
DK, come here.
Listen, I don't know who you are or where you come from, but from now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
Mario was stunned at the command of the young woman.
Look at your worshipfulness. Let's get to one thing straight. I take orders from one person. Me.
It's a wonder you're still alive. Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Mario watches her start away. He looks at Luigi.
No reward is worth this.
They follow her, moving swiftly down the deserted corridor. Interior Death Star, power trench. Suddenly, a door behind Ben slides open and a detachment of Koopa Troopas marches to the power trench. Ben instantly slips into the shadows as the Koopa moves to within a few feet of him.
Secure this entry until the alert is cancelled. Give me regular reports.
All but two of the Koopas leave.
Do you know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
Ben moves around the tractor beam, watching the Koopas as they turn their backs to him. Ben gestures with his hand toward them, as the Koopas think they hear something in the other hallway. With the help of the Force, Ben deftly slips past the Koopas and into the main hallway.
What was that? Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Interior Death Star hallway. Luigi, Mario, DK, and Peach run down an empty hallway and stop before a bay window overlooking the pirate ship. Koopas are milling around the ship. Luigi takes out his pocket comlink.
There she is.
Adipio, do you copy?
For the moment, we're in the main hangar across from the ship.
We're right above you. Stand by.
Mario is watching the dozen or so Koopas moving in and out of the pirate ship. Peach moves toward Mario, touches his arm, and points out the window to the ship.
You came in that thing. You're braver than I thought.
Nice. Come on.
Mario gives her a dirty look, and they start off down the hallway. They round a corner and run right into 20 Imperial Koopa Troopas heading toward them. Both groups are taken by surprise and stop in their tracks.
It's them! Blast them!
Before even thinking, Mario draws his laser pistol and charges the troops, firing. His blast knocks one of the Koopas into the air. DK follows his captain down the corridor, stepping over the fallen Koopa on the floor.
Get the back into the ship.
Where are you going? Come back.
Mario has already rounded a corner and does not hear.
He certainly has courage.
What good will it do us if he gets himself killed? Come on.
Luigi is furious but doesn't have time to think about it, for muted alarms begin to go off down the hangar deck. Luigi and Peach start off toward the starship hangar. Interior, Death Star, sub-hallway. Mario chases the Koopas down a long sub-hallway.
Ah!
The Koopas reach a dead end and are forced to turn and fight. Mario stops a few feet from them and assumes a defensive position. The Koopas begin to raise their laser guns. Soon, all 10 Koopas are moving into an attack position in front of the lone space pirate. Mario's determined look begins to fade as the Koopas begin to advance. Mario jumps backward as they fire at him. DK runs down the sub-hallway in a last-ditch attempt to save his bold captain. Suddenly, he hears the firing of laser guns and yelling. Around the corner shoots Mario, pirate extraordinaire, running for his life, followed by a host of furious Koopa Troopas. DK turns and starts running the other way also. Interior, Death Star, hallway. Luigi fires his laser pistol wildly as he and Peach rush down a narrow sub-hallway, chased by several Koopa Troopas. They quickly reach the end of the sub-hallway and race through an open hatchway. Interior, Death Star, central core shaft. Luigi and Peach race through the hatch onto a narrow bridge that spans a huge, deep shaft that seems to go into infinity. The bridge has been retracted into the wall of the shaft, and Luigi almost rushes into the abyss. He loses his balance off the end of the bridge as Peach, behind him, takes hold of his arm and pulls him back.
I think we took a wrong turn.
Blasts from the Koopas' laser guns explode nearby, reminding them of the oncoming danger. Luigi fires back at the advancing Koopas. Peach rushes over and hits a switch that pops the hatch door shut with a resounding boom, leaving them precariously perched on a short piece of bridge overhang. Laser fire from the Koopas continues to hit the steel door.
There's no lock.
Luigi blasts the control with his laser pistol.
That ought to hold it for a while.
Quick, we've got to get across. Find the control that extends the bridge.
Oh, I think I just blasted it.
Luigi looks at the blasted bridge control while the Koopa Troopas on the opposite side of the door begin making ominous drilling and pounding sounds.
They're coming through.
Luigi notices something on his Koopa Troopa belt when laser fire hits the wall behind him. Luke aims his laser pistol at a Koopa perched on a higher bridge overhang across the abyss from them. They exchange fire. 2 more Koopas appear on another overhang, also firing. A Koopa is hit and grabs at his chest. Another Koopa standing on a bridge overhang is hit by Luigi's laser fire and plummets down the shaft. Koopas move back off the bridge. Luigi hands his gun to Peach.
Here, hold this.
Luigi pulls a thin nylon cable from his Koopa utility belt. It has a grappler hook on it. A Koopa appears on a bridge overhang and fires at Luigi and Peach. As Luigi works with the rope, Peach returns the laser volley. Another Koopa appears and fires at them, as Peach returns his fire as well. Suddenly, the hatch door begins to open, revealing the feet of more Koopas.
Here they come.
Peach hits one of the Koopas on the bridge above, and he falls into the abyss. Luigi tosses the rope across the gorge, and it wraps itself around an outcropping of pipes. He tugs on the rope to make sure it is secure, then grabs the princess in his arms. Peach looks at Luigi, then kisses him quickly on the lips. Luigi is very surprised.
For luck.
Luigi pushes off and they swing across the treacherous abyss to the corresponding hatchway on the opposite side. Just as Luigi and Peach reach the far side of the cane, the Koopas break through the hatch and begin to fire at the escaping duo. Luigi returns the fire before ducking into the tiny sub-hallway. Interior, Death Star, narrow passageway. Ben hides in the shadows of a narrow passageway as several Koopas rush past him in the main hallway. He checks to make sure they're gone, then runs down the hallway in the opposite direction. Darth Vader appears at the far end of the hallway and starts after the old Jedi. Interior, Death Star, main forward bay. 3PO looks around at the troops milling about the pirate ship entry ramp.
Where could they be?
Shy-2, plugged into the computer socket, turns his dome left and right. Wah, wah. Interior, Death Star, corridor, blast shield door. Mario and DK run down a long corridor with several Koopas hot on their trail.
Close the blast doors!
At the end of the hallway, blast doors begin to close in front of them. The young star pilot and his furry companion race past the huge doors just as they are closing and manage to get off a couple of laser blasts at the pursuing Koopas before the door slams shut.
Open the blast doors! Open the blast doors!
Interior, Death Star, hallway leading to the main forward bay. Ben hurries along one of the tunnels leading to the hangar where the pirate ship waits. Just before he reaches the hangar, Darth Vader steps into view at the end of the tunnel, not 10 feet away. Vader lights his saber. Ben also ignites his and steps slowly forward.
Wah! I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wario. We meet again, at last. The circle is now complete.
Ben Kenobi moves with elegant ease into a classical offensive position. The fearsome Dark Knight takes a defensive stance.
Wah! When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Only a master of evil, Darth.
The 2 galactic warriors stand perfectly still for a few moments, sizing each other up and waiting for the right moment. Ben seems to be under increasing pressure and strain, as if an invisible weight were being placed upon him. He shakes his head and, blinking, tries to clear his eyes. Ben makes a sudden lunge at the huge warrior, but is checked by a lightning movement of the Sith. A masterful slash stroke by Wader is blocked by the old Jedi. Another of the Jedi's blows is blocked, then countered. Ben moves around the Dark Lord and starts backing into the massive starship hangar. The two powerful warriors stand motionless for a few moments with laser swords locked in midair, creating a low buzzing sound.
Wah! Your powers are weak, old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Their lightsabers continue to meet in combat. Interior Death Star, main forward bay. Mario Solo and Donkey Chewbacca, their weapons in hand, lean back against the wall surveying the forward bay, watching the Imperial Koopa Troopas make their rounds of the hangar.
Didn't we just deliver this party?
Luigi and the Princess join them.
What kept you?
We ran into some old friends.
Is the ship all right?
Seems okay, if we can get to it. Just to hope the old man got the tractor beam out of a commission.
Interior Death Star hallway. Wader and Ben Kenobi continue their powerful duel. As they hit their lightsabers together, lightning flashes on impact. Koopas look on in interest as the old Jedi and Dark Lord of the Sith fight. Suddenly, Luigi spots the battle from his group's vantage point.
Look.
Luigi, Peach, Mario, and DK look up and see Ben and Wader emerging from the hallways on the far side of the docking bay. Interior Death Star docking bay. 3PO and Shy-2 detour in the center of the Death Star's Imperial docking bay.
Come on, Shy-2, we're going.
3PO ducks out of sight as the 7 Koopas who were guarding the starship rush past them, heading toward Ben and the Sith Knight. She pulls on Shy-2. Interior Death Star hallway. Mario, DK, Luigi, and Peach tensely watch the duel. The Koopas rush toward the battling knights.
And now's our chance. Go!
They start for the Millennium Falcon. Ben sees the Koopa charging toward him and realizes that he is trapped. Wader takes advantage of Ben's momentary distraction and brings his mighty lightsaber down on the old man. Ben manages to deflect the blow and swiftly turns around. The old Jedi Knight looks over his shoulder at Luke, lifts his sword from Wader's, then watches his opponent with a serene look on his face. Wader brings his sword down, cutting old Ben in half. Ben's cloak falls to the floor in 2 parts, but Ben is not in it. Wader is puzzled at Ben's disappearance and pokes at the empty cloak. As the guards are distracted, the adventurers and the robots reach the starship. Luigi sees Ben cut in 2 and starts for him. Aghast, he yells out,
No!
The Koopa Troopas turn toward Luigi and begin firing at him. The robots are already moving up the ramp into the Millennium Falcon, while Luigi, transfixed by anger and awe, returns their fire. Mario joins in the laser fire. Wader looks up and advances toward them as one of his Koopas is struck down.
Come on!
Come on, Luke, it's too late.
Blast the door, kid!
Luigi fires his laser pistol at the door control panel and it explodes. The door begins to slide shut. 3 Koopas charge forward, firing laser bolts as the door slides to close behind them, shutting Wader and the other Koopas out of the docking bay. A Koopa lies dead at the feet of his onrushing compatriots. Luigi starts for the advancing Koopas as Mario and Peach move up the ramp into the pirate ship. He fires, hitting a Koopa who crumples to the floor.
Run, Luigi! Run!
Luigi looks around to see where the voice came from. He turns toward the pirate ship, ducking Imperial gunfire from the Koopas and races into the ship. Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit. Mario pulls back on the controls and the ship begins to move. The dull thud of laser bolts can be heard bouncing off the outside of the ship as DK adjusts his controls.
I hope the old man got that tractor beam out of a commission. Well, this is going to be a real short trip. Okay, hit it!
The Millennium Falcon powers away from the Death Star docking bay, makes a spectacular turn, then disappears into the vastness of space. Interior Millennium Falcon central hold area. Luigi, saddened by the loss of Obi-Wan Kenobi, stares off blankly as the robots look on. Peach puts a blanket around him protectively, and Luigi turns and looks up at her. She sits down beside him. Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit. Mario spots approaching enemy ships.
We're coming up on their sentry ships. Hold them off. Angle the deflector shields while I charge up with the main guns.
Interior Millennium Falcon central hold area. Luigi looks downward sadly, shaking his head back and forth as the princess smiles comfortingly at him.
I can't believe he's gone.
Wah, wah.
There wasn't anything you could have done.
Mario rushes into the hold area where Luigi is sitting with the princess.
Come on, buddy. We're not out of this yet.
Interior Millennium Falcon gunports cockpit. Mario climbs into his attack position in the topside gunport. Interior Millennium Falcon hold area. Luigi gets up and moves out toward the gunports as Peach heads for the cockpit. Interior Millennium Falcon gunports cockpit. Luigi climbs down the ladder into the gunport cockpit, setting into one of the 2 main laser cannons mounted in large rotating turrets on either side of the ship. Interior Millennium Falcon Solo's gunport. Mario adjusts his headset as he sits before the controls of his laser cannon, then speaks into the attached microphone.
You in a kid? Okay, stay sharp.
Interior Millennium Falcon gunports cockpit. DK and Princess Peach search the heavens for the attacking TIE fighters. The Wookiee pulls back on the speed controls as the ship bounces slightly. Interior Millennium Falcon, Solo's gunport, cockpit. Computer graphic readouts form on Mario's target screen as he reaches for the controls. Luigi sits in readiness for the attack, his hand on the laser cannon's control button. DK spots the enemy ships.
Here they come.
The Imperial TIE fighters move toward the Millennium Falcon, one each veering off to the left and right of the pirate ship. Interior TIE fighter cockpit. The stars whip past behind the Imperial pilot as he adjusts his maneuvering joystick. Exterior Millennium Falcon in space. The TIE fighter races past the Falcon, firing laser beams as it passes. Interior Millennium Falcon hold area. 3PO is seated in the hold area next to Shy 2D2. The pirate ship bounces and vibrates as the power goes out in the room and then comes back on. Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit gunports. A TIE fighter maneuvers in front of Mario, who follows it and fires at it with the laser cannon. Luigi does likewise as the fighter streaks into view. The ship has suffered a minor hit and bounces slightly. Exterior space. TIE fighters dive down toward the pirate ship. Interior Millennium Falcon gunports. Luigi fires at an unseen fighter.
They're coming in too fast.
Exterior space. 2 TIE fighters charge through the background. Laser bolts streak from the craft. Interior Millennium Falcon. The ship shudders as the laser bolt hits very close to the cockpit. Exterior TIE fighter space. The TIE fighter moves fast, firing on the pirate ship. 2 TIE fighters fire a barrage of laser beams at the pirate ship. Interior Millennium Falcon main passageway. A laser bolt streaks into the side of the pirate ship. The ship lurches violently, throwing poor 3PO into a cabinet full of small computer chips.
Ouch.
Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit gunports. Peach watches the computer readouts as DK manipulates the ship's controls.
We've lost lateral controls.
Don't worry, she'll hold together.
An enemy laser bolt hits the pirate ship's control panel, causing it to blow out in a shower of sparks.
You hear me, baby? Hold it together.
Shy 2D2 advances toward the smoking, sparking control panel, dousing the Inferno by spraying it with fire retardant.
Wah, 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 wah.
Interior Millennium Falcon gunport. Luigi swivels in his gun mount, following the TIE fighter with his laser cannon. Interior Millennium Falcon gunport. Mario aims his laser cannon at the enemy fighters. Exterior space. A TIE fighter streaks off in front of the starship. Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit. Peach watches the TIE ship fly over. Exterior space. A TIE fighter heads right for the pirate ship, then zooms overhead. Interior Millennium Falcon gunports. Luigi follows the TIE fighter across his field of view, firing laser beams from his cannon. A TIE fighter dives past the pirate ship. Luigi fires at a TIE fighter. At his port, Mario follows a fighter in his sights, releasing a blast of laser fire. He connects, and the fighter explodes into a fiery dust.
Ha-ha!
Exterior space. 2 TIE fighters move toward and over the Millennium Falcon, unleashing a barrage of laser bolts at the ship. Interior Millennium Falcon gunports. Another TIE fighter moves in on the pirate ship, and Luigi, smiling, fires the laser cannon at it, scoring a spectacular direct hit.
I got them. I got them.
Mario turns and gives Luigi a victory wave, which Luigi gleefully returns.
Great, kid. I don't get too cocky.
Mario turns back to his laser cannon. Exterior space. 2 more TIE fighters cross in front of the pirate ship. Interior Millennium Falcon cockpit. While DK manipulates the controls, Peach turns, looking over her shoulder out the ports.
There are still 2 more of them out there.
Exterior space. A TIE fighter moves up over the pirate ship, firing laser bolts at it. Interior Millennium Falcon gunports. Luigi and Mario look into their respective projected target screens. An Imperial fighter crosses Mario's port, and he swivels in his chair, following it with blasts from his laser cannon. Another fighter crosses Luigi's port, and he reacts in a like manner, the glow of his target screen lighting his face. Exterior space. The TIE fighter zooms toward the pirate ship, firing destructive blasts at it. Interior Millennium Falcon gunports. Luigi fires a laser blast at the approaching enemy fighter, and it bursts into a spectacular explosion. Luigi's projected screen gives a readout of the hit. The pirate ship bounces slightly as it is struck by enemy fire. Exterior space. The last of the attacking Imperial TIE fighters looms in, firing upon the Falcon. Interior Millennium Falcon gunport. Mario swivels behind his laser cannon, his aim describing the arc of the TIE fighter. The fighter comes closer, firing at the pirate ship, but a well-aimed blast from Mario's laser cannon hits the attacker, which blows up in a small atomic shower of burning fragments.
That's it. We did it.
The princess jumps up and gives DK a congratulatory hug.
We did it.
Interior Millennium Falcon passageway. 3PO lies on the floor of the ship, completely tangled in smoke, sparking... Completely tangled in the smoking, sparking wires. Okay, sorry.
We did it. We did it. We did it.
Alright, you ready? 5. Interior Millennium Falcon passageway. 3PO lies on the floor of the ship, completely tangled in the smoking, sparking wires.
Help! I think I'm melting. This is all your fault.
Wah, wah, wah.
Exterior, space. The victorious Millennium Falcon moves off majestically through space. Interior, Death Star control room. Darth Vader strides into the control room where Bowser is watching the huge view screen, a sea of stars before him.
Are they away?
Wow, they have just made the jump into hyperspace.
You're sure about the homing beacon? Is secure aboard their ship? I'm taking an awful risk, Vader. This had better work.
Interior, Millennium Falcon cockpit. Mario, removing his gloves and smiling, is at the controls of the ship. DK moves into the aft section to check the damage. Peach is seated near Mario.
Not too bad a bit of rescuing, huh? You know, sometimes I even amaze at myself,
That doesn't sound too hard. Besides, they let us go. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape.
Easy? You call it that easy?
They're tracking us.
Not this a ship, sister.
Frustrated, Peach shakes her head.
At least the information in Shy-2 is still intact.
What's so important? What's it carrying?
The technical readouts of that battle station. I only hope that when the data is analyzed, a weakness can be found. It's not over yet.
It is for me, sister. Look, I had to end this real revolution, and I'm not in it for you, princess. I expect to be well paid. I'm in it for the money.
You needn't worry about your reward. If money is all that you love, then that's what you'll receive.
She angrily turns, and as she starts out of the cockpit, passes Luigi coming in.
Your friend is quite a mercenary. I wonder if he really cares about anything, or anybody.
I care.
Luigi, shaking his head, sits in the co-pilot seat. He and Mario stare out at the vast blackness of space.
So, what do you think of her, Mario?
I'm trying not to, kid.
Good.
Still, she's got a lot of a spirit. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think a princess and a guy like me?
No.
Luigi looks away. Mario smiles at young Luigi's jealousy. Exterior, space around fourth moon of Yavin. The battered pirate ship drifts into orbit around the planet Yavin and proceeds to one of its tiny green moons. Exterior, fourth moon of Yavin. The pirate ship soars over the dense jungle. Exterior, Masasi outpost. An alert guard, his laser gun in hand, scans the courtside. He sets the gun down and looks toward the temple, barely visible in the foliage. Exterior, Masasi outpost, jungle temple. Rotting in a forest of gargantuan trees, an ancient temple lies shrouded in an eerie mist. The air is heavy with the fantastic cries of unimaginable creatures. Mario, Luigi, and the others are greeted by rebel troops. Luigi and the group ride into the massive temple on an armored military speeder. Interior, Masasi, main hangar deck. The military speeder stops in a huge spaceship hangar set up in the interior of the crumbling temple. Merlon, the commander of the rebel forces, rushes up to the group and gives Peach a big hug. Everyone is pleased to see her.
You're safe. We have feared the worst.
Merlon composes himself, steps back, and bows formally.
We heard about Alderaan. You lost along with your father.
We don't have time for our sorrows, Commander. The battle station has surely tracked us here. It's the only explanation for the ease of our escape. You must use the information in the Shy-2 unit to plan the attack. It is our only hope.
Exterior, space. The surface of the Death Star ominously approaches the red planet Yavin. Interior, Death Star, control room. Grand Moff Bowser and Lord Darth Vader are interrupted in their discussion by the buzz of the comlink. Bowser moves to answer the call.
Yes?
We're approaching the planet Yavin. The rebel base is on a moon on the far side. We're preparing to orbit the planet.
Exterior, Yavin, jungle. A lone guard stands in a tower high above the Yavin landscape, surveying the countryside. A mist hangs over the jungle of the twisted green. Interior, Masasi, war room briefing area. Todana stands before a large electronic wall display. Peach and several other senators are to one side of the giant readout. The low-ceilinged room is filled with star pilots, navigators, and sprinkling of Shy-2-type robots. Everyone is listening intently to what Todana is saying. Mario and DK are standing near the back.
The battle station is heavily shielded and carries firepower greater than half the Starfleet. Its defenses are designed around a direct, large-scale assault. A small one-man fighter should be able to penetrate the outer defense.
Gold Leader, a rough-looking toad in his early 30s, stands and addresses Todana.
Pardon me for asking, sir, but what good of Snapfire is going to be against that?
Well, the Empire doesn't consider a small one-man fighter to be any threat, or they'd have a tighter defense. An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Peach has demonstrated a weakness in the battle station.
Shy-2D2 stands next to a similar robot.
Wah, wah.
The approach will not be easy. You're required to maneuver straight down the trench and skim the surface to this point. The target area is only 2 meters wide. It's a small thermal exhaust point, right below the main port. The shaft leads directly to the reactor system. A precise hit will start a chain reaction which should destroy the station.
A murmur of disbelief runs through the room.
Only a precise hit will set up a chain reaction. The shaft is ray-shielded, so you'll have to use proton torpedoes.
Luigi is sitting next to Toad Antilles, a hotshot pilot about 16 years old.
That's impossible, even for a computer.
It's not impossible. I used to bullseye wombats in my T-16 back home. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Man your ships, and may the force be with you.
The group rises and begins to leave. Exterior space. The Death Star begins to move around the planet toward the tiny green moon. Interior Death Star. Bowser and Darth Vader watch the computer-projected screen with interest as a circle of lights intertwines around one another on the screen, showing its position in relation to Yavin and the fourth moon.
Orbiting the planet at maximum velocity. The moon with the rebel base will be in range in 30 minutes.
Wow, this will be a day long remembered. It has seen the end of Kenobi and will soon see the end of the rebellion.
Interior Masasi Outpost. Main hangar deck. Luigi, 3PO, and Little Shy 2 enter the huge spaceship hangar and hurry along a long line of gleaming space fighters. Flight crews rush around loading last-minute armaments and unlocking power couplings. In an area isolated from this activity, Luigi finds Mario and DK loading small boxes onto an armored speeder.
All flight troops, man your stations! All flight troops, man your stations!
Mario is deliberately ignoring the activity of the fighter pilot's preparations. Luigi is quite saddened at the sight of his friend's departure.
So, you got your word and you're just leaving then?
That's alright, yeah. I got some older debts I've got to pay off with this stuff. Even if I didn't, you don't think I'd have been fool enough to stick around here, do you? Why don't you come with us? You're pretty good in a fight. I could have used you.
Come on. Why don't you just take a look around? You know what's about to happen. What they're up against. They could use a good pilot like you. You're turning your back on them.
What a good's the reward if you ain't around to use it. Besides, attacking that battle station ain't my idea of a courage. It's more like a suicide.
Alright, well, take care of yourself, Mario. I guess that's what you're about at, isn't it?
Luigi goes off and Mario hesitates, then calls to him. Hey, Luigi, may the force be with you. Luigi turns and sees Mario wink at him. Luigi lifts his hand in a small wave and then goes off. Mario turns to DK. What are you looking at? I know what I'm a-doing. Interior, main hangar deck, Luigi's ship. Luigi, Peach, and Todana meet under a huge space fighter.
What's wrong?
Oh, it's Mario. I don't know. I really thought he'd change his mind.
He's got to follow his own path. No one can choose it for him.
I only wish Ben was here.
Peach gives Luigi a little kiss, turns, and goes off. As Luigi heads for his ship, another pilot rushes up to him and grabs his arm.
Luigi, I don't believe it! How'd you get here? Are you going down with us?
Biggs, of course, I'll be up there with you. Listen, have I got some stories to tell you?
Red Leader, a rugged, handsome toad in his 40s, comes up behind Luigi and Biggs. He has the confident smile of a born leader.
Are you Luigi Skywalker? Have you been checked out on the Ingon T-65? Sir, Luke is one of the best bush pilots in the Outer Rim territories.
Pilot Leader pats Luigi on the back as they stop in front of his fighter.
I met your father once when I was just a boy. He was a great pilot. You'll do all right if you got half of your father's skill. You'll do better than all right.
Thank you, sir. I'll try.
Red Leader hurries to his own ship.
I've got to get aboard. Listen, you'll tell me all your stories when we come back, all right?
I told you I'd make it someday, Biggs.
You did all right. It's going to be like old times, Luigi. A couple of shooting stars, they'll never be stopped.
Luigi shakes his head in agreement. He heads for his ship. As Luigi begins to climb up the ladder into his sleek, deadly spaceship, the crew chief, who is working on the craft, points to little Shy 2, who is being hoisted into a socket on the back of the fighter.
This Shy 2 you know you since a bit beat up. Do you want no one?
Not on your life. That little droid and I have been through a lot together. You okay, Shy 2?
Wah, wah, wah.
The crewman lowers Shy 2D2 into the craft, making him a part of the exterior shell of the starship. Luigi climbs up into the cockpit of his fighter and puts on his helmet. 3PO looks on from the floor of the massive hangar as the crewmen secure his little electronic partner into Luigi's X-Wing. It's an emotion-filled moment.
Wah, 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 wah.
Hang on tight, Shy 2. You've got to come back.
Wah, wah.
You wouldn't want my life to get burning, would you?
Wah.
All final preparations are made for the approaching battle. The hangar is buzzing with the last-minute activity as the pilots and crewmen alike make their final adjustments. The hum of activity is occasionally trespassed by the distorted voice of the loudspeaker issuing commands. Coupling hoses are disconnected from the ships as they are fueled. Cockpit shields roll smoothly into place over each pilot. A signalman holding red guiding lights directs the ships. Luigi, a trace of a smile gracing his lips, peers about through his goggles.
Luigi, the force will be with you.
Luigi is confused at the voice and taps his headphones. Exterior, Masasi Outpost, jungle. All that can be seen of the fortress is a lone guard standing on a small pedestal jutting out above the dense jungle. The muted, gruesome crying sounds that naturally permeate this eerie purgatory are overwhelmed by the thundering din of ion rockets as 4 silver starships catapult from the foliage into a tight formation and disappear into the morning cloud cover. Interior, Masasi Outpost, War Room. The Princess 3PO and a field commander sit quietly before the giant display showing the planet Yavin and its 4 moons. The red dot that represents the Death Star moves ever closer to the system. A series of green dots appears around the 4th moon. A din of indistinct chatter fills the war room.
Stand alert! Death Star approaching! Estimated time to fire range, 15 minutes!
Exterior, space. The Death Star slowly moves behind the massive yellow surface of Yavin in the foreground as many X-Wing fighters flying in formation zoom toward us and out of the frame. Light from a distant sun creates an eerie atmospheric glow around a huge planet, Yavin. Rebel fighters flying in a formation settle ominously in the foreground and very slowly pull away. Interior, Red Leader starship, cockpit. Red Leader lowers his visor and adjusts his gun sights, looking to each side at his wingmen.
All wings will put in. Wet 10 standing by. Wet 7 standing by. Wet 3 standing by. Wet 6 standing by. Wet 9 standing by. Wet 2 standing by. Wet 11 standing by.
Wet 5 standing by.
Exterior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Shai-2D2 in position outside of the fighter turns his head from side to side.
Wah wah.
Interior, Red Leader's fighter, cockpit.
Lock S foils in attack position.
Exterior, space. The group of X-Wing fighters moves in formation toward the Death Star, unfolding the wings and locking them into the X position.
We're passing through the magnetic field. Hold tight.
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji adjusts his controls as he concentrates on the approaching Death Star. The ship begins to be buffeted slightly.
Switching deflectors on. Double front.
Exterior, space. The fighters, now X-shaped darts, move in formation. The Death Star now appears to be a small moon growing rapidly in size as the rebel fighters approach. Complex patterns on the metallic surface begin to become visible. A large dish antenna is built into the surface on one side. Interior, Wedge's cockpit. Wedge is amazed and slightly frightened at the awesome spectacle.
Look at the size of that thing. Cut the chatter, Wet 2. Accelerate to attack speed. This is it, boys.
Exterior, space. As the fighters move closer to the Death Star, the awesome size of the gargantuan Imperial fortress is revealed. Half of the deadly space station is in shadow, and this area sparkles with thousands of small lights running in thin lines and occasionally grouped in large clusters, somewhat like a city at night as seen from a weather satellite. Interior, Gold Leader's cockpit.
Red Leader, this is Gold Leader. I copy, Gold Leader. We're starting for the target shaft now.
Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Red Leader looks around at his wingmen, the Death Star looming in from behind. 2 Y-Wing fighters bob back and forth in the background. He moves his computer targeting device into position.
We're in position. I'm going to cut across the axis and try to draw the fire.
Exterior, space. 2 squads of rebel fighters peel off. The X-Wings dive toward the Death Star surface. 1,000 lights glow across the dark gray expanse of the huge station. Interior, Death Star. Alarm sirens scream as soldiers scramble to large turbo-powered laser gun emplacements. Electronic drivers rotate the huge guns into position as the crew adjust their targeting devices. Exterior, space around the Death Star. Laser bolts streak through the star-filled night. The rebel X-Wing fighters move in toward the Imperial base as the Death Star aims its massive laser guns at the rebel forces and fires. Interior, Masasi Outpost, War Room. Princess Peach listens to the battle over the intercom. 3PO is at her side.
Heavy fire, boss. 23 degree. I see it. Stay low.
Exterior, space. An X-Wing zooms across the surface of the Death Star. Interior, Death Star. Technical crews scurry here and there, loading last-minute armaments and unlocking power cables. Interior, Wedge's cockpit. Wedge maneuvers his fighter toward the menacing Death Star. Exterior, space. X-Wings continue in their attack course on the Death Star. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji nosedives radically, starting his attack on the monstrous fortress. The Death Star surface streaks past the cockpit below.
This is a Red 5. I'm going in.
Exterior, space. Lukiji's X-Wing races toward the Death Star. Laser bolts streak from Lukiji's weapons, creating a huge fireball explosion on the dim surface. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Terror crosses Lukiji's face as he realizes he won't be able to pull out in time to avoid the fireball.
Lukiji, pull out!
Exterior, surface of Death Star. Lukiji's ship emerges from the fireball with the leading edges of his wings lightly scorched.
Are you alright?
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji adjusts his controls and breathes a sigh of relief. Flak bursts outside the cockpit window.
I got a little cooked, but I'm okay.
Exterior, surface of Death Star. Rebel fighters continue to strafe the Death Star's surface with laser bolts. Interior Death Star. Walls buckle and cave in. Troops and equipment are blown in all directions. Koopa Troopas stagger out of the rubble. Standing in the middle of the chaos, a vision of calm and foreboding is Darth Vader. One of his astrolocatus rushes up to him.
We count the rebel ships, Lord Vader, but they're so small they're evading our turbo lasers.
Wow, we'll have to destroy them ship to ship. Get the crews to their fighters.
Interior Death Star. Smoke belches from the giant laser guns as they wind up their turbine generators to create sufficient power. The crew rushes about preparing for another blast. Even the Koopa's headgear is not adequate to protect them from the overwhelming noise of the monstrous weapon. One Koopa bangs his helmet with his hand in an attempt to stop the ringing. Interior Red Leader's X-Wing, cockpit, traveling. Red Leader flies through a heavy hail of flak.
Luke, let me know when you go again.
Interior Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit, traveling. The Red Leader's X-Wing flies past Lukiji as he puts his nose down and starts his attack dive.
I'm on my way now.
Watch yourself. The fire coming from the right side of that deflection tower.
I'm on it.
Exterior surface of Death Star. Lukiji flings his X-Wing into a twisting dive across the horizons and down into the dim gray surface. Exterior Lukiji's X-Wing traveling. A shot hurls from Lukiji's guns. Laser bolts streak toward the onrushing Death Star surface. Several small radar emplacements erupt in flame. Laser fire erupts from a protruding tower on the surface. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing cockpit traveling. The blurry Death Star surface rushes past the cockpit window as a big smile sweeps across Lukiji's face at the success of his run. Flak thunders on all sides of him. Exterior surface of Death Star. The Death Star superstructure races past Lukiji as he maneuvers his craft through a wall of laser fire and peels away from the surface toward the heavens. Interior Death Star. The thunder and smoke of the big guns reverberate throughout the massive structure. Many soldiers rush about in the smoke and chaos, silhouetted by the almost continual flash of explosions. Interior Biggs' cockpit, traveling. Biggs dives through a forest of radar, dome, antenna, and gun towers as he shoots low across the Death Star surface. A dense barrage of laser fire streaks by on all sides. Interior Death Star. Imperial star pilots dash in unison to a line of small auxiliary hatches that lead to Imperial TIE fighters. Interior Masasi Outpost, War Room. Princess Peach, surrounded by her generals and sides, paces nervously before a lighted computer table. On all sides, technicians work in front of many lighted glass walls. Todana watches quietly from one corner. One of the officers working over screen speaks into his headset.
Squad leaders, we picked up a new group of signals. Enemy fire's coming your way.
Interior Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit, traveling. Lukiji looks around to see if he can spot the approaching Imperial fighter.
My scopes are negative. I don't see anything.
Interior Red Leader's X-Wing, cockpit, traveling. The Death Star surface sweeps past as Red Leader searches the sky for the Imperial fighter. Flak pounds at his ship.
Keep up your visual scanning. With all this jamming, they'll be on top of you before your scope can pick them up.
Exterior surface of Death Star. Silhouetted against the rim lights of the Death Star horizon, 4 ferocious Imperial TIE ships dive on the rebel fighters. 2 of the TIE fighters peel off and drop out of frame. Interior Biggs' cockpit. Biggs panics when he discovers a TIE ship on his tail. The horizon in the background twists around as he peels off, hoping to lose the Imperial fighter. Interior Red Leader's cockpit.
Biggs, you've picked one up. Watch it. I can't see it. Where is he?
Exterior space around the Death Star. Biggs zooms off the surface and into space, closely followed by an Imperial TIE fighter. The TIE ship fires several laser bolts at Biggs, but misses. Interior Biggs' cockpit, traveling. Biggs sees the TIE ship behind him and swings around, trying to avoid him.
He's on me tight. I can't shake him. I can't shake him.
Exterior space around the Death Star. Biggs, flying at high altitude, peels off and dives toward the Death Star surface, but he is unable to lose the TIE fighter, who sticks close to his tail. Interior X-Wing fighter, cockpit, traveling. Lukiji is flying upside down. He rotates his ship around to a normal attitude as he comes out of his dive.
Hang on, Biggs. I'm coming in.
Exterior space around the Death Star. Biggs and the tailing TIE ship dive for the surface, now followed by a fast-gaining Lukiji. After Biggs dives out of sight, Lukiji chases the Imperial fighter. Exterior surface of the Death Star. In the foreground, the Imperial fighter races across the Death Star surface, closely followed by Lukiji in the background. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit, traveling. There's a shot from Lukiji's X-Wing. The TIE ship explodes in a mass of flames.
I got him.
Interior Death Star. Darth Vader strides purposefully down a Death Star corridor, flanked by Imperial Koopa Troopas.
Wow, several fighters have broken off from the main group. Come with me.
Interior Masasi Outpost, War Room. A concerned Princess Peach, 3PO, Todana, and other officers of the rebellion stand around the huge round readout screen, listening to the ship-to-ship communications on the room's loudspeaker.
Pull in, Lukiji, pull in. Watch your back, Lukiji.
Interior Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit.
Watch your back, fire's above you, coming in.
Exterior, space. Lukiji's ship soars away from the Death Star's surface as he spots the tailing TIE fighter. Interior, TIE fighter's cockpit. The TIE pilot takes aim at Lukiji's X-Wing. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji looks out of his cockpit at the flames on his ship.
I'm a hit, but not the bad.
Exterior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Smoke pours out from behind Shy-2D2.
Shy-2, see what you can do with it. Hang on back there.
Green laser fire moves past the little robot as his head turns. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit. Lukiji nervously works his controls.
What 6?
Interior, Masashi Outpost, war room. In the war room, Peach stands frozen as she listens and worries about Lukiji.
Can you see Red 5? There's a heavy fire zone on this side. Red 5, where are you?
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit. Lukiji spots the TIE fighter behind his and soars away from the Death Star surface.
I can't shake him.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. Lukiji's ship soars closer to the surface of the Death Star, an Imperial TIE fighter closing in on him in hot pursuit. Interior, Wedge's cockpit. The Death Star whips below Wedge.
I'm on him, Lukiji.
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit.
Hold on.
Exterior, space around the Death Star. Wedge dives across the horizon toward Lukiji and the TIE fighter. Interior, Wedge's cockpit. Wedge moves his X-Wing in rapidly. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit. Lukiji reacts frantically.
I blasted. Wedge, where are you?
Interior, TIE fighter, cockpit. The fighter pilot watches Wedge's X-Wing approach. Another X-Wing joins him, and both unleash a volley of laser fire on the Imperial fighter. Exterior, space. The TIE fighter explodes, filling the screen with white light. Lukiji's ship can be seen far in the distance. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit. Lukiji looks about in relief.
Thanks, Wedge.
Interior, Masashi Outpost, war room. Peach, 3PO, Todana, and other Rebel officers are listening to the Rebel fighters' radio transmissions over the war room intercom.
Good shooting, Wedge. We're leader.
Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold Leader peels off and starts toward the long trenches of the Death Star surface pole.
There's Gold Leader. We're starting our attack one.
Exterior, space around the Death Star. 3 Y-Wing fighters of the Gold Group dive out of the stars toward the Death Star surface. Interior, Masashi Outpost, war room. Peach and the others are grouped around the screen as technicians move about attending to their duties.
I copy, Gold Leader. Move into position.
Exterior, space around the Death Star. 3 Imperial TIE ships in precise formation dive toward the Death Star surface. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Darth Vader calmly adjusts his control stick as the stars whip past in the window above his head.
Wow, stay in attack formation.
Interior, Masashi Outpost, war room. Technicians are seated at the computer readout table.
The exact part is
Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit.
marked and locked in.
Exterior, space around the Death Star. Gold Leader approaches the surface and pulls out to skim the surface of the huge station. The ship moves into a deep trench, firing laser bolts. The surface streaks past as laser fires returned by the Death Star. Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit, traveling. Gold 5 is a toad in his early 50s with a very battered helmet that looks like it's been through many battles. He looks around to see if enemy ships are near. His fighter is buffeted by Imperial flak. Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold Leader races down the enormous trench that leads to the exhaust port. Laser bolts blast toward him in increasing number, occasionally exploding near the ship, causing it to bounce about.
Switch power to front deflector screens.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. 3 Y-Wings skim the Death Star surface deep in the trench as laser bolts streak past on all sides. Exterior, Death Star surface, gun emplacement. An exterior surface gun blazes away at the oncoming Rebel fighters. Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit.
How many guns do you think, Gold 5?
Interior, Masashi Outpost, war room.
I'd say about 20 guns. Some on the surface, some on the towers.
Peach, 3PO, and the technicians view the projected target screen as red and blue target lights glow. The red target light near the center blinks on and off.
Death Star will be in range in 5 minutes.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. The 3 Y-Wing fighters race toward camera and zoom overhead through a hall of laser fire. Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold Leader pulls his computer targeting device down in front of his eye. Laser bolts continue to batter the Rebel craft.
Switch to targeting computer.
Interior, Gold 2's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold 2, a young toad about Lukiji's age, pulls down his targeting eye viewer and adjusts it. His ship shudders under intense laser barrages.
Computer's locked. Getting a signal.
As the fighters begin to approach the target area, suddenly all the laser fire stops. An eerie calm clings over the trench as the surface whips past in a blur.
The guns. They've stopped.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. 2 Y-Wings zoom down the Death Star trench. Interior, Gold 5's cockpit. Gold 5 looks behind him.
Stabilize your red deflectors. Watch for enemy fighters.
Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit.
They're coming in. 3 marks at 210.
Exterior, space around the Death Star. 3 Imperial TIE ships, Darth Vader in the center, flanked by 2 wingmen, dive in precise formation almost vertically toward the Death Star surface. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Darth Vader calmly adjusts his control stick as he starts to zoom by.
I'll take them myself! Wah! Cover me!
Yes, sir!
Exterior, space around the Death Star surface. 3 TIE fighters zoom across the surface of the Death Star. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader lines up Gold 2 in his targeting computer. Vader's hands grip the control stick as he presses the button. Interior, Gold 2's Y-Wing, cockpit. The cockpit explodes around Gold 2. His head falls forward. Exterior, space around the Death Star. As Gold 2's ship explodes, debris is flung out into space. Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold Leader looks over his shoulder at the scene. Interior, Death Star trench. The 3 TIE fighters race along in the trench in a tight formation. Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold Leader panics.
I can't maneuver!
Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold 5, the old veteran, tries to calm Gold Leader.
Stay on target!
Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit. The Death Star races by outside the cockpit window as he adjusts his targeting device.
We're too close!
Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit. The older pilot remains calm.
Stay on target!
Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit. Now he's really panicked.
Loosen up!
Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader calmly adjusts his targeting computer and pushes the fire button. Interior, Gold Leader's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold Leader's ship is hit by Vader's lasers. Exterior, spacecraft in space. Gold Leader explodes in a ball of flames, throwing debris in all directions. Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit. Gold 5 moves in on the exhaust port.
Gold 5 to Red Leader!
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji looks over his shoulder at the action outside of his cockpit.
Lost Terry, lost Dutch.
Interior, Red Leader's cockpit.
I copy, Gold 5.
Interior, Gold 5's Y-Wing, cockpit.
They came from behind.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. One of the engines explodes on Gold 5's Y-Wing fighter, blazing out of control. He dives past the horizon toward the Death Star's surface, passing a TIE fighter during his descent. Gold 5, a veteran of countless campaigns, spins toward his death. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji looks nervously about him at the explosive battle. Interior, Death Star, control room. Grand Moff Bowser and Chief Lakitu stand in the Death Star's control room.
We've analyzed the attack, sir, and there is a danger. Should I have your ship standing by?
Evacuate? In our moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances.
Bowser turns to the computer readout screen. Flames move around the green disc at the center of the screen as numbers read across the bottom.
Rebel base, 3 minutes in closing.
Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Red Leader looks over at his wingmen.
Red Group, there's Red Leader.
Interior, Masasi Outpost, War Room. Todana moves to the intercom as he fiddles with the computer keys.
Rendezvous at Mark 6.1. There's Red 2 flying towards you. Red 3 standing by.
Interior, Red Leader's cockpit.
Red Leader, this is Base 1. Keep have your group out of range for the next run.
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit.
Copy. Base 1. Lukiji, take Red 2 and 3. Hold up here and wait for my signal to start year 1.
Lukiji nods his head. Exterior, space around the Death Star. The X-Wing fighters of Lukiji, Biggs, and Wedge fly in formation high above the Death Star's surface. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji peers out from his cockpit. Exterior, surface of the Death Star. 2 X-Wings move across the surface of the Death Star. Red Leader's X-Wing drops down to the surface, leading to the exhaust port. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Red Leader looks around to watch for the TIE fighters. He begins to perspire.
This is it.
Exterior, space. Red Leader roams down the trench of the Death Star as lasers streak across the black heavens. Exterior, Death Star surface, gun emplacement. A huge remote-controlled laser cannon fires at the approaching Rebel fighters. Exterior, Death Star trench. The Rebel fighters evade the Imperial laser blasts. Interior, Red 10's cockpit. Red 10 looks around for the Imperial fighters.
We should be able to see it by now.
Exterior, Death Star trench. From the cockpits of the Rebel pilots, the surface of the Death Star streaks by, with Imperial laser fire shooting toward them. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit.
Keep your eyes open for those fighters.
Interior, Red 10's cockpit.
There's too much interference.
Exterior, space, Death Star trench. 3 X-Wing fighters move in formation down the Death Star trench.
Red 5, can you see them from where you are?
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji looks down at the Death Star surface below.
And no sign of any. Oh, wait.
Interior, Red 10's cockpit. Red 10 looks up and sees the Imperial fighters.
Coming in, the .35.
I see him.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. 3 TIE fighters, Wader flanked by 2 wingmen, dive in a tight formation. The sun reflects off their dominant solar fins as they loop toward the Death Star's surface. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Red Leader pulls his targeting device in front of his eyes and makes several adjustments.
I'm in range.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. Red Leader's X-Wing moves up the Death Star trench. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit.
Target's coming up.
Red Leader looks at his targeting Computer device readout screen. He then looks into his targeting device.
Just hold them off for a few seconds.
Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader adjusts his control lever and dives on the X-Wing fighters.
Wah! Close-up formation.
Interior, Death Star trench. The 3 TIE fighters move in formation across the Death Star surface. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit.
Almost there.
Red Leader lines up his target on the targeting device crosshairs. Exterior, surface of the Death Star. Vader and his wingmen zoom down the trench. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader rapidly approaches the 2 X-Wings of Red 10 and Red 12. Vader's laser cannon flashes below the view of the front porthole. The X-Wings show in the center of Vader's computer screen. Exterior, space. Red 12's X-Wing fighter is hit by Vader's laser fire and it explodes into flames against the trench. Interior, Red 10's cockpit. Red 10 works at his controls furiously, trying to avoid Vader's fighter behind him.
You better let her loose.
Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Red Leader is concentrating on his targeting device.
Almost there.
Interior, Red 10's cockpit. Red 10 panics.
I can't hold them.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. Vader and his wingmen whip through the trench in pursuit of the rebel fighters. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader coolly pushes the fire button on his control stick. Interior, Red 10's cockpit. Darth Vader's well-aimed laser fire proves to be unavoidable and strikes Red 10's ship. Exterior, space around the Death Star. Red 10's ship explodes and bursts into flames. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Grimly, Red Leader takes careful aim and watches his computer targeting device, which shows the target lined up in the crosshairs, and fires.
It's away!
Exterior, Death Star surface. Red Leader's X-Wing pulls up just before a huge explosion billows out of the trench. Interior, Death Star. An armed Imperial Koopa Troopa is knocked to the floor from the attack explosion. Other Koopas scurrying about the corridors are knocked against the wall and lose their balance. Interior, Masasi Outpost, War Room. Peach and the others stare at the computer screen.
It's hit! Negative!
Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Red Leader looks back at the receding Death Star. Tiny explosions are visible in the distance.
Negative! It didn't go in! It's an impact on the surface!
Exterior, space around the Death Star. TIE fighter. Darth Vader peels off in pursuit as Red Leader's X-Wing passes the Death Star horizon. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader swings his ship around for his next kill. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit.
Red Leader, right above you to turn the point.
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Cockpit. Lukiji tries to spot Red Leader. He looks down at the Death Star surface.
05, we'll cover for you.
Stay there!
Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. A wary Red Leader looks about nervously.
I just lost my starboard engine.
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Cockpit. Lukiji looks excitedly toward Red Leader's X-Wing.
Get set up for your attack one.
Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader's gloved hands make contact with the control sticks and he presses their firing buttons. Interior, Red Leader's cockpit. Red Leader fights to gain control of his ship. Exterior, space around the Death Star. Laser bolts are flung from Vader's TIE fighter, connecting with Red Leader's Rebel X-Wing fighter. Red Leader buys it, creating a tremendous explosion far below. He screams and is destroyed. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Cockpit. Lukiji looks out the window of his X-Wing at the explosion far below. For the first time, he feels the helplessness of his situation. Interior, Death Star. Grand Moff Bowser casts a sinister eye at the computer screen.
Rebel base, 1 minute and closing.
Interior, Masasi Outpost, War Room. Todana and Princess Peach, with 3PO beside them, listen intently to the talk between the pilots. The room is grim after Red Leader's death. Princess Peach nervously paces the room.
Biggs, Wedge, let's close it up. We're going in the full throttle.
Interior, Wedge's cockpit. The horizon twists as Wedge begins to pull out.
Right with you, boss.
Exterior, space around the Death Star surface. The 2 X-Wings peel off against a background of stars and dive toward the Death Star.
Lukiji, at that speed, will you be able to pull out in time?
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Cockpit.
It'll be just like Beggar's Canyon back home.
Exterior, space around the Death Star. The 3 X-Wings move in, unleashing a barrage of laser fire. Laser bolts are returned from the Death Star. Interior, Biggs' cockpit. Lukiji's lifelong friend struggles with his controls.
We'll stay back far enough to cover you.
Interior, Lukiji's cockpit. Flak and laser bolts flash outside Lukiji's cockpit window.
My scope shows the tower, but I can't see the exhaust port. Are you sure the computer can hit it?
Exterior, Death Star, gun emplacement. The Death Star laser cannon slowly rotates as it shoots laser bolts. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Cockpit. Lukiji looks around for the Imperial TIE fighters. He thinks for a moment and then moves his targeting device into position.
Watch yourself. Increase speed to full throttle.
Interior, Wedge's cockpit. Wedge looks excitedly about for any sign of the TIE fighters.
What about that tower?
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Cockpit.
You worry about those fighters. I'll worry about the tower.
Exterior Death Star surface. Lukiji's X-Wing streaks through the trench, firing lasers. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter cockpit. Lukiji breaks into a nervous sweat as the laser fires returned, nicking one of his wings close to the engine.
Shaitu, that stabilizer's broken loose again. See if you can lock it down.
Exterior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Shaitu works to repair the damages. The canyon wall rushes by in the background, making his delicate task seem even more precarious. Exterior Death Star. 2 laser cannons are firing on the rebel fighters. Interior Wedge's cockpit. Wedge looks up and sees the TIE ships. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter cockpit. Lukiji's targeting device marks off the distance to the target. Exterior space around the Death Star. Wader and his wingmen zoom closer. Interior Darth Vader's cockpit. Wader adjusts his controls and fires laser bolts at 2 X-Wings flying down the trench. He scores a direct hit on Wedge. Interior Massassi Outpost, War Room. Peach and the others are grouped around the computer board.
I'm hit. I can't see with you.
Get the clear, Wedge.
Interior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter cockpit.
You can't do any more good back there.
Interior Wedge's cockpit.
Sorry.
Exterior space around the Death Star. Wedge pulls his crippled X-Wing back away from the battle. Interior Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader watches the escape but issues a command to his wingmen.
Wow, let him go. Stay on the leader.
Exterior space around the Death Star. Lukiji's X-Wing speeds down the trench. The 3 TIE fighters, still in perfect unbroken formation, tail close behind. Interior Biggs' cockpit. Biggs looks around at the TIE fighters. He is worried.
Hurry, Lukiji. They're coming in much faster this time. I can't hold them.
Exterior space around the Death Star. The 3 TIE fighters move ever closer, closing in on Lukiji and Biggs. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter cockpit. Lukiji looks back anxiously at little Shaitu.
Shaitu, go ahead and increase the power.
Exterior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Ignoring the bumpy ride, flak, and laser, Shaitu struggles to increase the power, turning from side to side. Exterior space around the Death Star. Stealthily, the TIE formation creeps closer. Interior Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader adjusts his control stick. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter cockpit. Lukiji looks into his targeting device. He moves it away for a moment and ponders its use. He looks back into the computer targeter.
Hurry up, Lukiji.
Exterior space around the Death Star. Vader and his wingmen race through the Death Star trench. Biggs moves into cover for Lukiji, but Vader gains on him. Interior Biggs' cockpit. Biggs sees the TIE fighters aiming at him.
Wait.
Interior Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader squeezes the fire button on his controls. Interior Biggs' cockpit. Biggs' cockpit explodes around him, lighting him in red. Exterior surface of the Death Star. Biggs' ship bursts into a million flaming bits and scatters across the surface. Interior Massassi Outpost, War Room. Peach and the others stare at the computer board. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing cockpit. Lukiji is stunned by Biggs' death. His eyes are watering, but his anger is also growing. Interior Death Star control room. Grand Moff Bowser watches the projected target screen with satisfaction.
Rebel base, 30 seconds and closing.
Interior Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader takes aim on Lukiji and talks to his wingmen.
Wow, I'm on the leader.
Exterior surface of the Death Star. Lukiji's ship streaks through the trench of the Death Star. Interior Massassi Outpost, War Room. Princess Peach returns her general's worried and doubtful glances with a solid, grim determination. 3PO seems nervous.
Hang on, Shaitu.
Interior Lukiji's X-Wing cockpit. Lukiji concentrates on his targeting device. Exterior surface of the Death Star. 3 TIE fighters charge away down the trench toward Lukiji. Interior Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader's fingers curl around the control stick. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing cockpit. Lukiji adjusts the lens of his targeting device. Exterior surface of the Death Star. Lukiji's ship charges down the trench. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing cockpit. Lukiji lines up the yellow crosshair lines of the targeting device's screen. He looks into the targeting device, then starts at a voice he hears.
Use the Force, Lukiji.
Exterior surface of the Death Star. The Death Star trench zooms by. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing cockpit. Lukiji looks up, then starts to look back into the targeting device.
Let it go, Lukiji.
A grim determination sweeps across Lukiji's face as he closes his eyes and starts to mumble bench training to himself. Exterior surface of the Death Star. Lukiji's fighter streaks through the trench. Interior Darth Vader's cockpit.
The Force is strong with this one.
Exterior surface of the Death Star. Vader follows Lukiji's X-Wing down the trench. Interior Lukiji's X-Wing cockpit. Lukiji looks at the targeting device, then away as he hears Ben's voice.
Lukiji, thrust me.
Lukiji's hand reaches for the control panel and presses the button. The targeting device moves away. Interior Massassi Outpost, War Room. Peach and the others stand watching the projected screen.
His computer's off. Lukiji, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm all right.
Exterior surface of the Death Star. Lukiji looks at the Death Star surface streaking by. Exterior Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Shai-2D2 turns his head from side to side.
Wah, wah.
Exterior, surface of the Death Star. The 3 TIE fighters, manned by Vader and his 2 wingmen, follow Lukiji's X-Wing down the trench. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader maneuvers his controls as he looks at his doomed target. He presses the fire buttons on his control sticks. Laser fire shoots toward Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Exterior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. A large burst of Vader's laser fire engulfs Shy-2. The arms go limp on the smoking little droid. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit. Lukiji looks frantically back over his shoulder at Shy-2. Exterior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter. Smoke billows out around little Shy-2 and sparks begin to fly.
I've lost Shy-2.
Interior, Masasi Outpost, War Room. Peach and the others stare intently at the projected screen while 3PO watches the princess. Lights representing the Death Star and targets grow brightly.
The Death Star has ground the planet! The Death Star has ground the planet!
Interior, Death Star control room. Bowser glares at the projected target screen.
Rebel base, in range! You may fire when ready. Commence primary ignition!
An officer reaches up and pushes buttons on the control panel as green lighted buttons turn to red. Exterior, surface of the Death Star. The 3 TIE fighters zoom down the Death Star trench in pursuit of Lukiji, never breaking formation. Interior, Lukiji's cockpit. Lukiji looks anxiously at the exhaust port. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader adjusts his control sticks, checking his projected targeting screen. Exterior, surface of the Death Star. Lukiji's ship barrels down the trench. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader's targeting computer swings around into position. Vader takes careful aim on Lukiji's X-Wing fighter.
Wah! I have you now!
He pushes the fire buttons. Exterior, surface of the Death Star. The 3 TIE fighters move in on Lukiji. As Vader's center fighter unleashes a volley of laser fire, one of the TIE ships at his side is hit and exploded into flames. The 2 remaining ships continue to move in. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing, cockpit. Lukiji looks about, wondering whose laser fire destroyed Vader's wingman. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader is taken by surprise and looks from his cockpit.
Wah!
Interior, Darth Vader's wingman, cockpit. Vader's wingman searches around him, trying to locate the unknown attacker. Interior, Millennium Falcon, cockpit. Mario and DK grin from ear to ear. Woohoo! Exterior, space around the Death Star. The Millennium Falcon heads right at the 2 TIE fighters. It's a collision course. Interior, wingman's cockpit. The wingman spots the pirate ship coming at him and warns the Dark Lord.
Look out!
Exterior, Death Star trench. Vader's wingman panics at the sight of the oncoming pirate starship and veers radically to one side, colliding with Vader's TIE fighter in the process. Vader's wingman crashes into the side wall of the trench and explodes. Vader's damaged ship spins out of the trench with a damaged wing. Exterior, space around the Death Star. Vader's ship spins out of control with a bent solar fin, heading for deep space. Interior, Darth Vader's cockpit. Vader turns round and round in circles as the ship spins into space. Exterior, surface of the Death Star. Mario's ship moves in toward the Death Star trench. Interior, Millennium Falcon, cockpit. Mario, smiling, speaks to Lukiji over his headset mic.
You're all a clear, kid.
Interior, Masasi Outpost, War Room. Peach and the others listen to Mario's transmission.
Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji looks up and smiles. He concentrates on the exhaust port, then fires his laser torpedoes. Exterior, surface of the Death Star. Lukiji's torpedoes shoot toward the port and seem to simply disappear into the surface and not explode. But the shots do find their mark and have gone into the exhaust port and are heading for the main reactor. Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji throws his head back in relief. Interior, Death Star. An Imperial soldier runs to the control panel board and pulls the attack lever as the board behind him lights up.
Stand by to fire, Rebel base!
Exterior, space around the Death Star. 2 X-Wings, a Y-Wing, and the pirate ship race toward Yavin in the distance. Interior, Death Star. Several Imperial soldiers, flanking a pensive Grand Moff Bowser, busily push control levers and buttons.
Standing by!
The rumble of a distant explosion begins. Exterior, space around the Death Star. The rebel ships race out of sight, leaving the moon-like Death Star alone against a blanket of stars. Several small flashes appear on the surface. The Death Star bursts into a supernova, creating a spectacular heavenly display. Interior, Millennium Falcon, cockpit.
A great shot, kid. That was a 1 in a million.
Interior, Lukiji's X-Wing fighter, cockpit. Lukiji is at last at ease, and his eyes are closed.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
The ship rocks back and forth. Exterior, Darth Vader's TIE fighter. Vader's ship spins off into space. Exterior, space. The rebel ships race toward the 4th moon of Yavin. Interior, Masasi Outpost, main hangar. Lukiji climbs out of a starship fighter and is cheered by a throng of ground crew and pilots. Lukiji climbs down the ladder as they all welcome him with laughter, cheers, and shouting. Princess Peach rushes toward him.
Lukiji, Lukiji, Lukiji!
She throws her arms around Lukiji and hugs him as they dance around in a circle. Mario runs in toward Lukiji and they embrace one another, slapping each other on the back.
Hey, hey!
I knew you'd come back. I just knew it.
Well, I wasn't going to let you get all the credit and take all of the reward.
Luigi and Mario look at one another as Mario playfully shoves at Luigi's face. Peach moves in between them.
Hey, I knew there was more to you than money.
Luigi looks toward the ship.
Oh, no.
The fried little Shy-2D2 is lifted off the back of the fighter and carried off under the worried eyes of 3PO.
Oh my, Shy-2, can you hear me? Say something. You can repair him, can't you?
We'll get to work on him right away.
You must repair him. Sir, if any of my circuits or gears will help, I'll gladly donate them.
He'll be all right.
Interior, Masasi Outpost, main throne room. Luigi, Mario, and DK enter the huge ruins of the main temple. Hundreds of troops are lined up in neat rows. Banners are flying, and at the far end stands a vision in pink, the beautiful young Senator Peach. Luigi and the others solemnly march up the long aisle and kneel before Senator Peach. From one side of the temple marches a shined-up and fully repaired Shy-2D2. He waddles up to the group and stands next to an equally pristine 3PO, who is rather awestruck by the whole event. DK is confused. Todana and several other dignitaries sit on the left of Princess Peach. Peach is dressed in a long pink dress and is staggeringly beautiful. She rises and places a gold medallion around Mario's neck. He winks at her. She then repeats the ceremony with Luigi, who is moved by the event. They turn and face the assembled troops, who all bow before them. Wah, wah. And that is the end of Mario Wars. We made it.
Yeah.
I think I said cockpit during that last part more than I ever have in my entire life.
I think I've done Toad voice during the last point more than I have in my ever life.
So thank you for coming up.
That's not wood.
Your ever life. Anyway, thank you for coming along on this ride with us. Make sure you come back next time when the conversation will continue and hopefully our voices have recovered. But until then, I am and will continue to be Maddie.
Lexi.
Dylan.
And this is LexiCon concluded.
Bye.